Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Hello and good evening for another great show on Spaced Out Radio tonight as we look into the other side of UFOs. How much is real? How much is not? Skeptic, writer, author, researcher Mick West is with us tonight. We are in for a power show of knowledge tonight. Before we bring Mick in, let us say hello to each and every one of you in our chat room so far. We got Race Fan in the gold medal position. Michael Morris taking home the silver with Dino Bravo in the bronze medal tonight. Hi, Roy Boy and Laura Lobbs. Brown Dwarf, how you doing? Little Timmy Senor, nice to see you. Cable Guy, how you doing? Cable Guy will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Monica and Les Paul Holland in Australia, good to see you. Hi, Max Ritchie. Michelle L., how are you? And Susie B., thank you for coming on in. Hi, Paramarv. Thank you for joining us as we continue on with our roll call tonight. Pixie Lara, Sensational Sherry, good to see you both. And let's scroll on down. And who do we have next? Millennium, my man. Robert Lamoth, good to see you both. Steve Edmond, thank you for coming on in. And Jessica, it's always good to have Jessica here. Kurt M., thank you for coming on in. Tim Othman, it's a pleasure to have you here. And Gizmo, thank you for joining us from beautiful Abbotsford, British Columbia. Yeah, my hometown. All right, continuing on, Mark Sanchez, Raymond L., Lee the B., thank you for joining us. Digger Dog, Vaughn Patrick, good to see you both. Underscore Maddie, thanks for joining us. Hope your hair is looking fantastic tonight. The lovely and talented Kira, thank you for coming on in. Hi, Christine Lynn. Jerry at JSCO, how you doing, man? And continuing on with our roll call, Vash the Impaler, good to have you back. Forrest Louie, thank you so much for kicking off the Super Chat tonight. The Super Chat is a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. So thank you so much. Nikki from Seattle is here. Nikki will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Bobby Farron, good to see you. Roger Murray, how you doing, buddy? And there's Susan out of the way. And Warden Dragon. Sweet Tony D from the UK in Wales. Thank you for waking up early for us. Deb from SAC. Andrew B., thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call tonight. And Richard Elmore, good to see you back. TMI, thanks for coming on in. And Deal You Whoopoo, welcome back. Bill H. Voices, how you doing? Good to see you. Hi, Javier at Cryptid 559. Always a pleasure, my man. And Aaron Baca, good to see you. Aaron, preferred, I guess. All right, let's see who's on Facebook tonight. Let me just get this going. I just got to refresh this. And who's chatting away on Facebook right now? We have Sparkles and Mitchell Kurt Manning. Hello. As you know what? We're going to start the radio side. There we go. And that way Bill WD40 could get into the chat room and lube us up for tonight's show. Corruption Czar, how you doing, man? Good to have you here again. Chedwin Mandoli, what's happening? Welsh Hammer, good to see you. And yeah, we're going to have a big group tonight. I can already feel it. It's going to be a good show. Good show. One of those good ones that we like to have here every now and again. Yeah, we like a good show every now and again. Deb, thank you so much for the super chat. Very much appreciate your love and support nightly on Spaced Out Radio. Thank you, Deb. And yeah, we got about 35 seconds. If you haven't already, head on over to our store on our website, spacedoutradio.com. We got great swag there for you. We really do. And of course, if you haven't or you're new here, do us a favor. Give us a thumbs up, thumbs down. Leave a comment after the show. It helps with the algorithms as well. Follow us on our social media. Like, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We're here 7 days a week for your listening entertainment. Mama Catherine, mwah, we love you. This is going to be a good show for you, my dear. Good to see you. And yeah, we're like 5 seconds away. So do us all the favor, people. Get your horns up. Let's rock. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag. Tonight's show is brought to you by CHIVE Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting CHIVE Charities today. You can find them on our website. We got a great show for you tonight as Mick West is here to talk about UFOs, UAPs, and what's the truth behind all of this talk going on all across the world. Then in hour number 3, we got a great story from Among the Missing with Steve Stockton. Then Javier from Cryptid 559 joins us for tonight's Cryptid Reports. Mick West is the author of Escaping the Rabbit Hole, How to Debunk Conspiracy Theories Using Facts, Logic, and Respect. He's also the host of the podcast Tales from the Rabbit Hole. Both focus on developing tools for understanding and helping people who've been sucked into conspiracy theories. Mick is a retired video game programmer who helped make the highly successful Tony Hawk's Pro Skater franchise. He also runs a website called metabunk.org, where he investigates conspiracy theories, debunks pseudoscience, and analyzes UFO videos. And tonight, we're glad to have Mick back on Spaced Out Radio for the second time. Mick, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. How you been, my friend?
I've been doing good. Very glad to be here again, Dave.
It's always good to have you here as well, because you bring a totally different light than what we do on a nightly basis. And you know, like I was saying to you previously on the air, you know, belief wise, our attitudes may clash, but in the end, it's about trying to find facts. I'm trying to find it from the woo side. You're trying to find it from the relatively human side of things. You know, I mean, do you enjoy what you do? Do you enjoy being a part of this community and what you can contribute?
I do. I enjoy it a lot. I've actually made quite a few good friends in the community over the years. And what I do, I think, is perhaps misunderstood. I think a lot of people look at like me and think like, there's Mick West, the debunker. He's the guy who's trying to prove that aliens are not real. When really, like, I would like nothing better than to prove that aliens are real and that UFOs actually contain aliens and that UFOs are some kind of advanced technology. That would be like pretty amazing. I would really love to discover that. But what really got my interest in this whole subject was really just the simple, analyzing UFO videos. And that was something that, you know, because of my previous experience, like looking into the chemtrails conspiracy theory and my experience, like learning to fly and my, 3D coding skills, I just got to be fairly good at, and I just enjoyed doing it. And I enjoyed trying to figure things out. And of course, along the way, I experience all kinds of things, like talking to different people with different opinions, yeah, that's a lot of fun. just interacting with people. I actually went to Alien Con a few months ago in Pasadena, and I had a great time there, talking to a whole bunch of different people, and I really enjoy the community, and I enjoy the act of trying to figure out what's going on.
So for you being or having this enjoyment of it, I mean, you sit here and yet there's a lot of people online who will put a lot of words in your mouth, as they do with anybody out there who is famous, pseudo famous, or has an opinion that's highly differing than yours. I mean, for you, would you consider yourself a believer in UFOs and ufology, or would you consider yourself more of a person who you need to see it to believe it?
Well, I guess a bit of both, really. I think UFOs obviously are a real thing in that we see things in the sky that we can't identify. But then people put different interpretations on the evidence and what it actually means and how significant it is. And of course, the big thing, I think, the big difference between me and a lot of other people is I guess, it's more of a perceived difference rather than a real difference. It is the issue of like eyewitness testimony versus hard evidence. So hard evidence will be something like a video or some kind of data recording, something like that, radar or something like that. Whereas eyewitness evidence is like not hard evidence as such. It's still evidence, but it's not hard evidence. I tend to look at things that are mostly on the kind of the hard evidence side, like things like videos. And I have a lot of difficulty kind of like getting to grips with the eyewitness stuff. And that, I think, gives people the impression that I'm dismissing this eyewitness testimony when, I'm really not. You factor that in as well. But unfortunately, eyewitness testimony is unreliable. I know that's like a hard thing to hear for people who have had their own personal experience. But when you're trying to figure out what happened in a particular case, you can do a lot better with the hard evidence, the videos and things like that, than you can do with eyewitness testimony. Going down the road of eyewitness testimony, you're going to end up with like it's like this person experienced something, but we can't really resolve what it actually is. If you have a video, then you actually have a pretty good chance of resolving what the thing actually is. So I tend to focus on that aspect of it, and I think that gives people the idea that I'm ignoring the eyewitnesses when I'm really not. I actually really enjoy talking to eyewitnesses. I've actually interviewed quite a few eyewitnesses, and I think it's an important part of the overall phenomena.
How did you get into all of this? What made you take on the UFO field? Because I mean, for somebody like you, I mean, I look at you as a lone wolf in this field. Yes, there's other skeptics, and everybody kind of has their own way. I don't look at you the same way I would look at Stephen Greenstreet or
Yeah.
John Greenwald or somebody of that ilk. So for you, how did you become this lone wolf of ufology?
Well, I think everyone kind of works to their skills. John Greenwald's skills are in doing FOIA requests and being dogged in following up those requests and figuring stuff out and documenting things and storing all these documents and then trying to interpret what these documents mean. Stephen Greenstreet is a journalist, so he does stories. He formulates stories based on the information that's out there, and some of them are entertaining stuff like his video series, but also informative, like because he is a journalist, but also a bit sensationalist as well, because you need to do sensationalist stuff to get people's attention. And my strengths are really in, like, I guess, two areas, I would say. One is analyzing things on a technical level. And then the other is explaining those things. So I make these explainer videos that try to explain what's going on. And then I'll identify something in a video and then try to demonstrate what's actually happening. Like today, someone posted a video of a meteorite, kind of streaking across the sky. And it looks like the meteorite kind of slows down and stops and then kind of hovers in a spot for a while and then kind of moves backwards a bit and then moves forward. And I recognized this as something I'd seen before, which is this thing called the stabilized parallax effect, where if you move your camera around, it looks like things in the distance move because the camera automatically stabilizes the foreground. It's kind of this new thing in ufology. And so I made little videos trying to explain that. And I've been thinking today about how I can explain that. So really, it's, people use their own unique set of skills. And I think I perhaps just am very lucky in that I have a very specific set of skills that perhaps doesn't exist out there in the UFO investigation scene, especially on the more skeptical side of things. So I'm a retired video game programmer. I was lucky enough to kind of retire fairly young, and I still have all this skill in doing 3D math and figuring stuff out and programming visualizations and explaining things to people. And I just fell into this niche. And there's no one else there who's really doing it exactly like that. There's lots of others investigating out there, but lots of people that got real jobs to do as well. Whereas I'm retired, so I've got lots of spare time, and I also have the skills. So I'm just kind of fell into this, and I enjoy doing it. So I like doing it. I'm going to keep doing it.
What do you think about the online harassment that you take?
Well,
I mean, I'm not saying that people can't disagree with you or disagree with me or anybody like that, but it seems like, especially UFO Twitter, which I truly, I'll say what I call it. I call it a cesspool of horrid information and word uses of the English language at times, but for you, I mean, you're constantly attacked. You are constantly berated. People call you a lot of horrific things. I mean, how do you put up with that? Where do you find the internal strength on that?
Well, I think perhaps other people see that more than I do, because whenever somebody starts up something like that, what I tend to do is, I'll engage with them if they seem like they want a conversation. But if they don't, if they're just slinging mud, then there's no point slinging mud back at them, because everyone's going to get dirty that way. So I just mute them. I don't block people usually. I usually just mute them, so I just don't see what they're seeing. And so I've got a mute list that probably has like a few hundred people on it, because over the years, lots of people have been, I guess, mean tweeting to me, and there's plenty of other people who want to have good conversations. And so I prefer to spend my time with the people who want to actually interact in a productive and meaningful way. And so I end up not seeing a lot of the attacks, which perhaps other people actually see this because they haven't muted these people. So it doesn't bother me that much because I don't see that much of it. And when it does happen, I think you've got to have empathy. Like, I think my default position is that this person who is being mean to me is being mean to me because they don't understand me, which in part is my fault. I haven't really communicated my position effectively, and sometimes I come across badly on Twitter. Like, I will say something that's a bit abrupt, and my mannerism is perhaps not ideal. I have this kind of dry British sense of humor, which doesn't always translate even on a one-on-one basis, and certainly not always on Twitter. So, my first instinct is that, oh, it's just kind of a misunderstanding. Then there are people who have a genuine issue with me, like they think Mick West is just a debunker, or he's paid by the government, or he's calling the pilots stupid, and so they think these things about me, and so they're genuinely angry. But again, that's kind of a misunderstanding. So I think of it like that. And then there's a few people who are just assholes who aren't very nice, and those are the ones that end up getting muted. But most people, I assume, have good intentions, and I try to talk to them with that in mind.
So for you, I mean, do you ever feel that, enough is enough? Have you ever wanted to walk away because of the harassment that you take?
Well, you see, the thing is, like, I think a lot of people, they see me talking on Twitter, and they think, oh, that's all Mick does. He's just this guy who's a naysayer on Twitter. When a video comes out, Mick will just say, "Oh, that's a balloon," and that's all I do. But what I'm actually really interested in doing, or what I spend my time doing, is actually doing these technical analyses. And the technical analyses, they're not anything to do with people or personalities or insults or miscommunications and things. It's just this math and like research and detective work and collaboration with other people, like other people on Metabunk, and sometimes even on Twitter and Facebook, and sometimes just over email. So that is, it's separate from this whole drama that you see on UFO Twitter, which I don't really see myself as being part of. I don't really take part in this drama. I see that it's there, and I know a lot of people get genuinely upset. But what I'm doing is trying to figure out what's going on. I'm trying to figure out, for one particular video, what does this video show? If someone had an experience, what could that experience be? Often you can't tell, but sometimes you can. Sometimes you can figure these things out. But the drama, I just try to stay away from it. It's not really my thing. And if people want to talk to me, I'm happy to talk to them. But if they want to shout at me, then I'm not going to shout back at them.
I think that's a pretty strong attitude. I do, and I wish I had that, because Lord knows I can get sucked into a debate in no time, But I'm trying,
Yeah.
But Mick, for you, I mean, have you ever seen a UFO or something that you can't explain in the sky? Is that part of the curiosity, or are you just waiting for that moment?
Yeah, I haven't really. I mean, I've had like little things that you see that you can't identify. Like I saw a white dot high in the sky once, and I couldn't tell what it was. And the funny thing was, like, I've told this story before, like about seeing the white dot. But just yesterday, I saw another white dot, and I was looking up and I saw this white dot, and it moved across the sky, kind of in the same way that the ISS moves. If you ever watched the International Space Station move across the sky, it's a beautiful thing, bright light, moves relatively fast in a smooth, straight line across the sky. This thing seems to be doing the same as that, but it was in daytime. And it was this little white speck, like high above, and it was moving, and it seemed in a perfectly straight line. I couldn't figure out what it was, and I was staring at it. I said, I wish I had my camera. And then I realized, I do have my camera. Grabbed my camera out of my pocket, and of course I couldn't see anything because it was actually too small of a white dot for it to show up. And then I was puzzled for a while. I thought, good, what was that? Was that like a plane or a daytime satellite? Doesn't make any sense. And then I noticed another white dot, and this one was moving in a weird way. And then the next another one, and another one, and then all of a sudden I realized what I was seeing was just these kind of seeds. I'm not sure what it was, cottonwood tree or something like that, whatever the tree is here that produces these seeds, just blowing in the wind. Some of them, when they're lower down, you can tell what they are because they kind of move around like this. But then I saw the ones that were really high up just appeared as these really small white little dots, and they just move across the sky, seemingly in straight lines. It was a very fun experience to discover that, and that's what I enjoy about this, is figuring stuff out. And I'm wondering now if like the white dot that I saw years and years ago might have been something similar, just like a little speck that wasn't as far away as I thought it was. It was something that's a bit closer, but it was far enough away that it moved smoothly across the sky. So that was a fun little experience.
So what do you think that was overall? What do you think it would be if you're looking for an answer for that? Because I would say you had a UFO experience.
Yeah, no, but I think like in the second experience, like I think I figured it out because I saw that there was these other white dots, which were just seeds, and they were moving in the same way as the first one. But the thing was, the first one I saw was by itself. I didn't see any other dots. But then I saw a whole bunch of them, and then I got my camera out and I zoomed in, and they were everywhere. They were just like loads and loads of little white specks, and there's some of them fell to the ground, and you can see them, the little bits of fluff with a seed in the middle of it. So you can see what they actually are. But you go back to my first experience, which was years earlier, and all I saw was a white dot in the sky. So I couldn't figure out what it was. And I think that's kind of a lot of people's experience, is that they see something that might be something like, a seed or something, and they can't figure it out. Of course, a lot of people have things that couldn't possibly be, explained by conventional means. So they're seeing things like a giant black triangle moving across the sky and things like that. It's completely different to my experience. But a lot of these UFOs are actually things just like little lights. You see these videos all the time, and people are just, it's a light in the distance. It could be anything.
See, I had my eyes opened up in probably the last year with a good friend of mine. We call him Random Guy around here, who really opened up my eyes to a lot of what is actually ours and what is actually not ours. And I now believe probably 95% of what we are seeing is one way or another man-made. But I still believe strongly in UFOs and my own experiences that I have had as well. For you, being the fact that you've kind of had this experience, what would make you believe, as we got about 3 minutes to go before the break here at the bottom of the hour, what would make you believe that there is something visiting this planet?
I think you need evidence that's not ambiguous. I think the problem with a lot of the evidence, if not all of the evidence, is that it could be advanced technology, it could be something that's moving really rapidly, or it could be something else, like something either human-made or some kind of illusion, some kind of camera artifact. You can't tell for sure that it's unambiguous. So I would like evidence that you kind of can't argue with. Like if you have 2 or 3 different cameras from reputable sources that are independent, looking at the same thing, and you see this craft doing something amazing. If something like a craft appeared above a major city, then you would have like 1,000 videos of it. But all we ever get are these single videos. And when you get multiple videos, the few times that has happened, it's almost always, unfortunately, turned out to be a hoax. Like there's one in Jerusalem, there was one in Texas, there's one in Santa Monica, there was one quite recently where like there was 2 people claimed to have taken videos, and it really just looks like it's a hoax. But I would really like to see that multiple source data. Now, just seeing something myself, there's going to be questions. I want to see multiple people seeing the same thing, multiple people taking video of the same thing independently and from different locations. I mean, that shouldn't be too hard to accomplish. It's not like every single thing is just one person out in the country taking a bit by themselves. There's plenty of places where UFOs have appeared where multiple people should be able to take video of it. And I think we just haven't got past that kind of ambiguity level into something that's definitively weird or definitively anomalous. There's always a question about, is it actually anomalous? Is it a sensor error? You see this in the UAP reports when they're talking about these things. A small percentage of reports appears to demonstrate anomalous behavior, but we can't rule out things like sensor error, operator error, or weird weather phenomena, or mistaken identities and things like that. So I think there's definitely possibilities.
Batman balloons.
The what?
Like Batman balloons.
The Batman balloon, yes. I mean, it's something that, is it a flying spaceship or is it a Batman balloon? It looks like a Batman balloon, but it could be, a flying spaceship. And then you start butting up against, the pilot wouldn't have taken a photo of a Batman balloon. Well, maybe they would. Yes, was it Mark Kelly at the NASA conference tell the story about how he saw a UFO, and they went around and came back to check what it actually was, and it was a Bart Simpson balloon. So these things do happen, and if they hadn't gone round and checked, it would have remained a UFO. They would never have figured it out, and maybe they would take a photo of it, and you get something that was Bart Simpson shaped, and it wouldn't be resolved. It would be ambiguous. Is it a UFO or is it a balloon? So I think striving towards good data is a good thing. And people are trying to do that. The Avi Loeb and the Galileo project, they're trying to get good data, but we're not there yet.
Mick West on Spaced Out Radio, known as the biggest skeptic in the UFO world. But you know what? It's a topic that he enjoys. He may not believe you, but he wants to believe. At least that's what I'm getting out of it. We'll be back with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio when we return right after this. Stay tuned. Thank you for that first half hour. Remember, our YouTube audience can hear us chatting here. It's just the radio side that can't right now.
Hey, everyone.
Yeah. I think it's a great conversation, my friend. I do.
Yeah, no,
Great.
I want to do more of this, really, to be honest. Like, because I want to, I kind of want to clarify to people that I'm not the enemy. Like, I'm someone who's trying to figure things out, and I think through my own experience, I've kind of maybe become a bit biased because all the ones that I look into, they end up being either resolvable or not enough information to resolve, and so it's been a bit kind of disappointing. I would like to discover aliens. I don't think it's going to happen, but I enjoy just figuring stuff out. I like analyzing these videos.
See, I just like going for the thrill. That's me. Like, I'll give you an example. I went on a ghost hunt at our local museum the other day, and we had a FLIR camera, and my friend's wife was using the FLIR, and I was kind of standing in this barn, and and she asked me to wave because she thought she had her or me and her husband in the shot, and literally she goes, "Could you raise your hand higher, Dave?" So I did. The problem was she realized her husband was on the right and not the left, right in front of me. And here was this figure inside the camera waving back at her about 5 feet in front of me. And when I went back and I looked at it, the guy was still there. But before, it always happens. Here's the bullshit answer. The minute I go to take the photo of it, it disappears. Right? That's what pisses me off.
Yeah, FLIR cameras are a fun thing to play with. I've got like a little one that attaches to the iPhone. I think FLIR actually has a page on their website now where they explain a lot of the the things that people sometimes mistake for anomalies, like kind of after images. Like if you sit in a chair and then you get up, there'll be kind of an image of a person in that chair because it kind of transfers your heat to it. And of course, things like handprints on the wall stay for a surprisingly long time. The heat from your hand is actually pretty hot compared to the environment. So if you're in a cold house and you rest your hand on the wall for 10 seconds, you're going to get a hot handprint that will stay there for like a minute or two. So it's kind of easy to make mistakes with a FLIR camera. It's a lot of fun though. A lot of fun.
Oh, they are a lot of fun, and it's I bought it for my birthday, my 49th birthday, because I saw one nice and cheap on Facebook Marketplace, and it's just a little handheld. It goes out to maybe, I'm lucky if it goes out 125 feet, 100 feet, 125 feet, but it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, mine's a very small one. I can't remember what I got it for. I think it was originally to look into like one of the old UFO videos, maybe the Chilean Navy video case, because that was kind of a thermal imaging thing. But maybe it might have been Flat Earth, actually. I can't remember now why I originally got it. But it's coming very handy because a lot of people use them. The Flat Earth people use them to try to prove that moonlight is cold, like it's like negative heat. So they've got this weird idea about how the sun and the moon work, and that's and so I was explaining to them, the Flat Earth people, which is a difficult crowd to explain things to, the Flat Earth people. What's actually going on with moonlight and reflections of heat and stuff like that. Fascinating stuff, though. I mean, I learned a lot, and that's one of the things I enjoy is just learning so much about science and technology. I didn't really know very much about FLIR cameras like 6 years ago, and now I know a lot.
Yeah, I love mine, and we when we go out, we got night vision, and we got all that other fun toys that it's fun to put out there and see what happens. I don't consider myself a researcher. I consider myself, number one, an experiencer. Number two, I should one day get my journalism degree out of mothballs and actually hang it on my
Hmm.
wall again. But it's a weird combination being both, because you want to have the call it down the middle journalistic side, but on the flip side, you have these
Yeah.
strange experiences that not everybody else has had, and you're trying to explain them as logically as possible. It gets a little tough sometimes, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's kind of a fundamental issue in ufology is kind of the experiencer aspect. If people have actually had a personal experience,
Oh yeah.
then it gives you a very different perspective on
One
everything.
sec. Sorry to cut you off there, Mick. We're
No
going to
worries.
come back right now. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. From Metabunk.org, Mick West is here tonight breaking down what he thinks UFOs are. Is ufology a thing? What's going on with it? Mick, thank you so much for being here tonight. Very much appreciate you.
I'm glad to be here, having fun.
Good. I'm glad you're having fun. That actually makes me feel good. I'm getting a little giddy now. But Mick, there's a lot going on in the UFO world.
There is.
Okay, with all the news coming out of the Pentagon, coming out of Canada, David Grush coming out of nowhere, and all of these groups are now forming. From Enigma Labs to Galileo Project to the pilots group. That it just seems like there is this sub business and this subculture of ex-government or current government employees that are trying to get together under this UFO world. And I don't know if it's for profit. I don't know if it's for positioning on other positions, but what's your thoughts of everything as we look at the way it's starting to form right in front of us?
Well, I think we're living in interesting times for ufology. Things are kind of coming to a head, really. I think, in a way that they haven't really in the past. When we're actually getting congressional hearings on things, and we're getting supposed witnesses coming forward who have seen things like crashed crafts and landed craft and captured craft, and talking about things like alien bodies and things like that, and even like agreements with aliens and giant craft, all these things like that they claim to have evidence of, and they claim to know where the program is and where the craft are stored and things like that. It seems like something has got to give. Like either it's going to be revealed that these things actually exist, that these craft have been captured, or it's going to be revealed that this story is not what Dave Grush thought it was, and that I don't know what it's going to turn out to be. But my thoughts, what will happen, I think, is that it probably won't resolve into being aliens. I think something else is going on. I don't know what. And that itself is going to be very interesting. But yeah, there's a lot of moving parts. Like you say, Dave Grush came out of nowhere. Well, he did and he didn't. Like he's actually been around for, I think it's over a year since he first met people like, I think he first met Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp at a Star Trek convention. And then later he was introduced to other people within this kind of community of people who are pushing for disclosure. And I think eventually he kind of met with Lou Elizondo and Gary Nolan and people like that, and Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis. And they all together are kind of involved in various aspects of it, but it's all behind the scenes, so we don't know exactly what's going on and what their motives are. So it's a tricky one. It's you look at all these individual people, like what's his name, the Ryan Graves, has set up a podcast and a company, and he briefly worked for another company, Quantum Generative Materials, which is a company started by Deep Prasad, who is a guy who, like $25 to $40 million of capital funding to use AI to generate new types of metamaterials, partly based on what UAPs are doing, what UFOs are doing. So it's all, there's money involved, but how are they justifying it, and what's actually going on behind the scenes? Do they know something that we don't? Is there something that's going to be revealed? Is there a secret program of reverse engineering based on craft, or is it based on just these little bits of metal? Like, you remember the arts parts, Linda Moulton Howe, little triangle of metal with different layers of zinc and bismuth. Was it magnesium and bismuth with a bit of zinc? Is it just that? Is there more? Do we actually have craft? Is the craft thing just a conflation that's happened because we have SAPs that do reverse engineering, but that's mostly to do with captured foreign aircraft and things like that, and it's all being conflated with this bit of metal that someone found by the side of the road and sent to Art Bell? There's so many possibilities. It's actually really fascinating, and I'm really looking forward to more being revealed. I think Michael Shermer said recently on Twitter. Michael Shermer is another skeptic. We talked about me being like, the only person doing this, but there are other people. There's Michael Shermer. There's Brian Dunning. He's just released a new documentary, which is very interesting on the whole subject of UFOs. There are other people. So Michael Shermer, he said, like, basically, bring it on. Let's investigate. Let's figure out what Dave Grush is saying. Let's Congress delve into it. And that's what I want. You look at my Twitter feed. My pinned tweet on Twitter is basically saying, I want Congress to investigate. I want to figure out what's going on, because it's a very interesting situation, and I want to know what's behind it all.
Well, you know what? I think we all want to know what's behind it all. The problem is those with the answers, Mick, they're not giving up anything.
Yeah, but are they going to be forced to, though? If there is something going on, like, I think I wouldn't be surprised if there was an SAP, secure access program, like top secret program, like a need to know basis, compartmentalized top secret, so only a few people are read into it. If there is like secret programs like that perhaps are even hidden from Congress, because I think the thing is, like, they're introducing legislation now saying that all SAPs have to be kind of explained to Congress before they can spend any money on them, which means that law doesn't exist right now, which means that it's actually legal to do what they're doing. If they're having to make a law that says you have to say what you're doing, then that means right now you don't have to say what you're doing. So there could be someone might decide, oh yeah, like we should investigate Skinwalker Ranch, but we don't need to tell Congress about it. We can send like a team of scientists to Skinwalker Ranch to study the possibility of a portal appearing above Skinwalker Ranch. Congress doesn't need to know about it. It's just black money, and they're fine with that. It's not even that much money. So maybe there's stuff like that going on. Maybe there's a secret program to analyze what someone thought was bits of meta material. Something that somebody thought was a bit of a crashed alien craft, and that's off the books. That wouldn't entirely surprise me if such a program exists. It would surprise me if they had intact or crashed flying saucers, but that's kind of another thing. So, I think something is going to be revealed. I think Congress is going to look into, are there these secret access programs, special access programs that are off the books, and they're probably going to be told about them in camera, like in secret, in a secure facility. And either they're going to be explained to them and they'll say, oh yeah, this is just, we've been analyzing this Russian sub and we highly compartmentalize it, and some people got the idea that this bits of material from the skin of the sub that we were analyzing was a bit of an alien spaceship, and that's what happened, and Congress will be like, okay, and then they won't be able to tell us any of that because it's all top secret. Or perhaps they'll say, we found this craft. We think it's an alien craft. And so we're analyzing it. And what do you want us to do? I mean, it's top secret. And Congress will, I don't know, what will they do then? What will we do with that information? Will they tell us? I don't know.
You have been at times known to be highly critical of the fighter pilots, highly
Mm.
critical of some of the eyewitnesses that have gone on. I mean, what to you is good testimony? We're because we're not going to get those videotapes. Like Lou Elizondo talked about the 21-minute tape. Chris Mellon talked about that, and other videos that are out there.
Mhm.
Because I think the public is very sick and tired of, if you saw what I saw on
Yeah.
video, So when it comes to the fighter pilots or the military personnel who've had these close encounters with these objects, what is good evidence to you?
Well, yeah, I wouldn't say I'm critical of them, and that's kind of a. I think people start out and they say, Mick calls fighter pilots stupid or like crazy or prone to making mistakes. I don't think that's what's happening. I think occasionally all humans, regardless of their levels of skill, can make mistakes, and when mistakes happen, they sometimes are significant enough that it kind of reaches someone's attention. And the only ones that we are aware of are the ones that kind of are bubbled to the top. People do thousands of things all the time, like they land on the wrong runway. But it's not, it's not a big deal because no one got killed and someone gets reprimanded and it's a mistake somebody made. And someone makes a mistake like looking out the window and they misidentify something and they file a UFO report and then that filters up somehow and it becomes like something in Arrow's database and it becomes like this possible UFO, but it could well be just simply a pilot making a mistake, just an ordinary understandable mistake that not anyone could make, but like a pilot could make. Pilots aren't immune to making mistakes. So I think I'm not attacking people and saying these pilots are stupid. I'm just saying pilots are normal human beings, highly skilled, highly trained, highly experienced, normally do wonderful jobs 99.999% of the time, just like most people do. And occasionally, sometimes, perhaps they make a mistake. This isn't something that we can rule out. We can't say it's impossible for a pilot to ever make a mistake. It's impossible for a military pilot to make no mistakes ever in their entire career. So you have to include that as a possibility, especially if you're going to consider other possibilities that are kind of fairly extreme. If we're considering there's the possibility that the pilot actually saw a giant football field size, flying saucer, versus the possibility that the pilot had a hallucination. Now, sure, like, you say that, oh, the pilot had a hallucination. It's like, I'm calling the pilots crazy, but I'm just putting that forward as a possibility, as something that might have happened, that I don't think you can fully eliminate those possibilities because, some things happen that are, extraordinary sometimes. That people make extraordinary mistakes. Pilots make extraordinary mistakes. Once the U.S. Navy shot down an Iranian passenger jet because they mistook it for a fighter. So terrible mistakes sometimes happen. But yeah, I think the pilots are wonderful people who do great jobs most of the time. And I've talked to them, and I've offered to talk to them. I've talked to Ryan Graves, like privately. I've talked to Alex Dietrich. I have an episode where, not episode, but like a YouTube video where I talk to her and we discuss this, and it's all very, very friendly, and we talk about things in a rational way. But yeah, I just don't think you can rule out the possibility that even a highly trained and highly skilled person could make a mistake.
And I understand that, and I can appreciate that. But when you start getting deeper into the program, where whether it's Lou Elizondo or whether it's like we mentioned
Yeah.
David Grush, or there are a number of other people coming out. We've heard Marco Rubio say there are many others. I've heard as many as 8 to 10 others, just like David Grush, who are confirming these programs. How do you go about, or what's the thought process going about, questioning whether or not they're telling the truth to Congress, because if they don't tell the truth, they're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, it's it's one of those things that we're going to find out fairly soon. I think we're going to find out like how much truth there is to this accusation. I mean, the accusation basically is that there is a secret program of reverse engineering alien technology, and that we have crashed flying saucers, some of which had bodies in them, and this has been going on for since the 1940s. Since this Mussolini Italian thing that was the Pope helped bring to the United States. So there's a lot of very specific claims, but the basic claim is that there's a special access program, and I think we should find out something about the veracity of that statement. Is there a special access program? Now the question, like, is there aliens? This is such a big question. It's not really something that you can kind of sweep under the rug. I think if alien technology is involved, there's so much interest now from Congress. I don't think it would be possible to put the cat back in the bag if it actually is what's going on. Now, if it's something else, like a special access program reverse engineering Russian and Chinese technology, then that might be something they'll be able to keep the lids on to a degree, or kind of explain to a certain degree what's actually going on. But I think it's such a significant thing. It's the biggest story in human history, if it's real. And you look at the actual attention that's being given to it, it's very minimal. There's very little media attention. And there's not even that much attention from people in Congress. People are more concerned about other matters, like even just like the weather and the flight cancellations and the war in Ukraine and the Hunter Biden's troubles and everything else that's going on. Trump's papers. This is what's actually is in the media and what's actually concerning people, because we haven't actually got any meat yet. We've got this one guy who's publicly made these accusations. We've got other people behind the scenes who seem to be confirming aspects of the story. But then you hear like the politicians who have heard these people, like Marco Rubio. He talked about hearing from other people, but what he said didn't really seem to have very much meat to it. It seemed kind of fairly vague as to what was actually going on. There are. Someone said they saw video or craft that they didn't recognize, but they might have just been looking at things like the Aguadilla video or the Omaha Sphere video, things that are highly ambiguous. And sure, you could argue that these things look like alien spaceships, but really they are pretty ambiguous. So I'm really looking forward to more information coming out.
Okay, what kind of information do you want to see? Do you want to see them come out with the Roswell bodies? Do you want to see them come out with an actual space? But Mick, would you believe that though?
Yeah, I would. If they actually produce something that can be studied by scientists, that's a real bit of tangible physical evidence. If we have a ship, then scientists look at it and they say, yes, this has this weird metamaterials. Yes, this has controls for somebody with 12 fingers. This is unambiguously alien. This has isotope ratios that cannot possibly be manufactured on Earth. If we actually have that confirmation of that actually happening, then yes, I would believe it. But right now we have one person telling a story which sounds like stories that he's been fed by other people. All the stuff he's saying sounds like bits of UFO lore. Stuff, maybe it's true, but it's stuff that's been knocking around for years. This isotope ratio stuff is the type of thing that Gary Nolan and Jacques Vallée have been talking about for like a decade or so now. The metamaterial thing, that's just, Linda Moulton Howe's piece of material. It's a terahertz waveguide, but is it really? Has anybody really done any real significant analysis? I mean, Gary Nolan analyzes bits of metal, but he's not a metallurgist. He's an immunologist, a computational biology immunologist. Very talented, but he's not a metal expert. So if we actually get these bits of tangible evidence out there, even if it's just photos and videos, if we get things that are real, government issued like bits of evidence, and scientists can look at these things and we can actually analyze them and see what's going on, and they seem to be anomalous, then yeah, I will accept that is something anomalous. But we're not there yet, and it'd be great. It would be really amazing if that evidence does come out. But I'm somewhat skeptical about what's actually going to happen. Well, I'm really looking forward to it, though. It's going to be very interesting either way.
So do you think then that these people who are coming out are talking fantasy about what they're alleging, or do you feel there is truth in what they're saying, but they maybe just haven't explained it well enough to the public?
I don't know. I think the bottom line is I don't know what's going on. I think my best guess is there's probably like a combination of things going on. Like I've talked before, like about how I think there probably are special access programs. I mean, there's definitely programs that are top secret for reverse engineering foreign technology. We know that exists. We know NASIC is an organization that has a department that's called the Foreign Technology Exploitation Group, and their job is to take captured or observed foreign technology and reverse engineer it to try to utilize anything that's in it and to generate countermeasures against it. So this is a real thing. Reverse engineering of foreign technology and material is a real thing. Material is kind of an interesting word. Like in the military, there's two spellings of material. Material like with ending in IAL, and material ending in IEL. Materiel, which comes from the French word. And when they talk about reverse engineering material, we always think about they found a bit of metal and they're reverse engineering it. But materiel, EL, actually means equipment. So a tank or a plane or a ship is material, foreign material exploitation. So I think there could be these layers of misunderstanding to some degrees based on the language that is used. We're talking about analyzing material. We could be analyzing a captured MiG when people think we're actually just analyzing something like metamaterial. And people within these programs might refer to things as UFOs, or have a nickname for something like a flying saucer. And because everyone is so compartmentalized within these programs, they don't necessarily know what the person in the next room is doing, and they're not allowed to talk about it. They might use these little code words in the lunchroom to say, what's your UFO like? And then people hear this and they think, oh, they're working on UFOs, and the stories grow. And then there are all these people who strongly believe in the extraterrestrial, non-human intelligent narrative, who are trying to promote it, and so they convince people. They talk to people, and people get convinced. And I don't know, but it's possible that Dave Grush has been convinced by people that these things are happening when they're not actually exactly as they are being described. Somebody else has, for some reason, thought that this program is analyzing alien UFOs when in fact it's analyzing Chinese UFOs. And then they tell Dave Grush about all this, and he gets this idea and this fully formed thing, and he starts talking to people like Hal Puthoff and Eric Davis, and they tell him about all the stuff that they think they've experienced over the years, and somehow he gets this thing formed in his head. But I don't know, maybe I'm just speculating here. I don't know what's going on. I would love it if it was cleared up a little bit and we could figure out what's actually going on. But things are moving forward. Things will happen.
As we get ready to go to break, we got about 40 seconds here. But that all of those people are tied together one way or another. They're all tied. It always seems to come down to Hal Puthoff and Jim Semivan and this cast of UFO characters or Black Ops characters, John Alexander to name another one, where they all seem to gather and everybody is intertwined with them. So if you're not believing something like you said, Hal Puthoff and some of the things he's pulled, I mean, I can see where you're saying, well, how do I trust somebody else who's been involved with them? But I want to get more into that and the people involved when we come back on Spaced Out Radio. We are through 1 hour with Mick West tonight. on Spaced Out Radio, his website, metabunk.org. Yeah, I'm having a great time. I hope you are too. Where we're getting a look at the other side of ufology. I think Mick secretly wants to have some aliens in his life.
It's no secret.
Yeah, he needs some aliens. We'll try and find some. Let's drum them up on Spaced Out Radio. Hour number 2 next. Mick, I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to put you back in the green room.
All right.
I'll be back in a couple minutes. We got about 5.5 minutes, okay?
All right. I'm taking a little break myself, and I'll be
right.
back in 2 minutes.
Okay. Be right back, fans. Be right back. Love it. 10 p.m. and the blue sky is still out. I love that about living up here. Birds are still chirping. I think it's wonderful. All right. Let's see if I miss anybody. Oh, hey, Clam. Scrub-a-dub-dub. How you doing? And DOD, good to see you. Chairman Meow, welcome. And Susie B. Only because I like saying your name. All right, we got about 2 minutes, Mick. 2 minutes.
Okay, my headphone wasn't working there, but now it's working. I can hear you.
Yes. I was saying that at my house, I'm so high up in British Columbia that it's still daylight out.
Oh, impressive.
It's kind of cool.
Did you get the Northern Lights up there?
Yeah. This
Yeah, never
was
seen them.
oh, come on up. This
One day.
was over top of my house this year. This was one night.
Oh wow, yeah, it's pretty cool. Very colorful.
Yeah, it's real colorful. Like it's over top of my chimney.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get them a number of times a year.
Very cool.
There's my
Yeah, I'm
favorite.
down in Sacramento, so nothing like that down here.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite one. Just it's
Right.
hard to see right there. It's like all that. It's all bright green.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretty amazing.
yeah. It's one of the benefits of living up where I do. You get
Indeed.
some cool stuff like these bars that just kind of shoot out of nowhere.
Wow. It's like I don't know, a beam from space.
Aliens. It's aliens,
Indeed.
Mick.
That's the only possible explanation.
That's the only explanation for the Northern Lights is aliens. I want to say a big thank you to Michael, LMDA, Aaron, and Deb and Louie for the amazing super chat. Very much appreciate the love and support. And if you have any questions for Mick, put them in capital letters for me. I will try and get to them as much as I can. All right. And we're going to get going here in about 3 seconds. Don't forget to hit subscribe as well. Here we go.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Here comes hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us at youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Machair is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. From metabunk.org, Mick West is with us, debunking the UFO theory and what's really going on in the world. And Mick, there's a lot of people out there who have had experiences, who absolutely believe, and I'm one of them, who absolutely believe I know what I've seen. I know what I've experienced. And, there's nothing that could take what I've seen away or what people have seen away. And yes, it's anecdotal. 99.9% of it is anecdotal evidence. But this has us fishing for more, fishing for answers, fishing for anything that we can see that matches up with what the experiencers are experiencing. And on the flip side, I don't believe in disclosure. I believe we're in a confirmation that there is something strange out there. And you know what? It's hard to mix the two, because I believe disclosure is open up that Pandora's box. Let us see everything that is in there from Roswell on forward. Where do you stand in regards to people who are having these amazing experiences? They're affecting their lives. They're affecting their jobs, their friendships, their families. Not everybody is having some sort of psychosis here or mental issues. There's a lot of people like myself who have had major experiences with other people who've witnessed the same thing. So how do we define this?
Yeah, it's very difficult. I think I want to first of all talk about the word debunker, which I think when I started out kind of investigating conspiracy theories, I was looking into things like chemtrails or flat Earth, where I think using the term to debunk those conspiracy theories was fairly appropriate. The idea that contrails are being sprayed by the government was so obviously false that it seemed like a reasonable thing to say, I'm debunking this conspiracy theory. But when we're talking about UFOs, it's not really just this one theory that is either true or false. It's lots and lots of individual different people having these individual experiences and lots of different bits of individual pieces of evidence, like all these videos. And each one of those individual experiences or pieces of evidence is something that deserves investigation. It isn't something that people should set out to debunk. You shouldn't set out to say, this is obviously false, and I'm going to figure out why it's false and then demonstrate that it's false. That's the wrong way of going about it. You should set out, looking at each individual thing and saying, what happened here? Can we determine what was going on? What are the range of possibilities of what happened? And not say, this is obviously nonsense, because we don't know what happened. Especially with eyewitness testimonies, it's very difficult to form a good hypothesis as to what happened when someone describes something that's kind of extraordinary. Lots of people describe large craft moving above them or at a distance or in some way that's basically kind of impossible to come up with a scenario that kind of explains that in a way that's satisfactory. So we're kind of we end up with a situation where we have this eyewitness testimony from people who are deeply convinced about what they saw, and they're being very honest, and they're trying very hard to explain their experience and to relate their experience as accurately as possible. And yet we don't have any physical evidence as to what happened. And yet what they're describing doesn't make much physical sense often. It's not something that can really be readily explained, except by something like, a advanced technology craft. But we don't really have any evidence that such a craft exists, and so we're left kind of at an impasse. There's not a lot you can do to move that conversation forward. You can say that you had an experience. I don't know what that experience means. I don't know what caused it. I don't know what actually happened. I wasn't there. You were there, and you're trying to describe it as well as you can, but can we actually move forward from that? What do? I can say I choose to believe that what you describe is something that actually happened, and base my interpretation on that. Some people do that, like Jacques Vallée is a big UFO guy, and whenever he listens to a witness, an experiencer, he's assuming that the experience actually happened, or that they are perceiving it accurately because it was some kind of projected reality into their mind. But either way, it's something extraordinary. But I guess, like, I personally would entertain other possibilities that people might have been subject to some kind of illusion. Like if they think they saw a big black triangle flying over, perhaps it was a couple of planes in a certain configuration that just looked like a big black triangle. It's just a possibility. It's not something you have to consider. And since I wasn't there, I don't know how good the evidence is, what they actually saw. But if I raise that possibility to someone, the conversation can go very bad, because the person then sees, oh, Mick is just mocking me by giving this ridiculous explanation. And I can understand how that would seem to people. So it's a difficult thing to deal with. I think you've got to acknowledge that lots of people have had some experience. We don't know if that experience reflects a real physical reality, or what it actually reflects. But for that person, it's very, very real, and you have to respect that.
But what's wrong with believing the story? What's wrong with when you see hundreds, if not thousands, of reports from around North America or the world where people who've never met each other are saying that they're having experience with the exact same thing. Now, I realize, and I say that realizing that there are people out there who are looking for their 5, 10, 15 minutes of fame, no matter how they get that. I do believe that. But I think the majority of those who've
Yeah.
had that experience, there some people out there who are, how can I put it? Their lives have changed over this.
Oh yeah.
Their lives have been affected, and they just want answers, and they know the answers are sitting in a pentagon-shaped building, and they're not getting them. So
Yeah.
how do we find that balance between an anecdotal story that's affected somebody emotionally and in their life comparatively to what is being held back?
It's a very difficult subject to address. Uh, Kind of precisely for like the way you've outlined it there. These things are super important to the individual. I'm sure to you as well individually, and to a lot of people in the audience. You've had this experience, which to you was incredibly real, and you represented some physical reality that you think you perceived. But to the outside world, they have no way of verifying that. Someone like me, or I guess a non-experience, or someone who hasn't had a similar experience, it's very difficult for me to accept that all these people had an actual experience. There's kind of disconfirming evidence for that as well, like the fact that there's very little photographic and video evidence to corroborate it. And I know people have various opinions about why that is, but for me that's kind of a big sticking point. Lots of people describe these things in great detail, but we almost never get good or even reasonable or halfway reasonable videos of these things. There's actually a lot of variety. There's, you've seen like probably these posters of all the different UFO shapes that people have seen.
Yes.
And sure, like some of them resolve into fairly common shapes, like a sphere, and it's obviously the most common shape is a sphere. That's just because any light in the sky or any dot that's sufficiently far away that you can't make out the details tends to look like a sphere, so people will describe it as such. People do like see what they describe as tic-tac shaped things. They used to describe them as cigars, and whenever people actually take video of these and we're able to get enough information about what they're seeing, they end up being distant planes. You just can't see the wings because the wings are not being lit by the sun, so you see the fuselage and it looks like a cigar. And now people say, it looks like a tic-tac shape because tic-tac became just a popular descriptor after the Nimitz incident. So I see these things where people have described something, but when they actually try to produce the evidence of it, that doesn't really match up. And then there's so much variety. And then just what we know about, this is going to be a difficult thing to talk about, what we know about human psychology. We know that people's memories are not as good as they think. This is something that has been studied with things like, say, the 9/11. Everybody remembers where they were when 9/11, when they first heard about 9/11. They've got this, what they call a flashbulb memory, and it's very, very vivid, this memory that you have, like, because this is such this incredible event that happened. But in memory researchers at the time, they recognized that this big event was actually an opportunity to study what goes on in people's memories. So they got people to write down what they were thinking and what they were feeling and where they were when they first heard that the 9/11 attacks had happened and the World Trade Center had collapsed. And so they stored all these records. And then they went back like a few years later and they asked people again. And a significant number of those accounts actually changed. People misremembered things that should have been flashbulb memories, should have been these things that you couldn't possibly forget. Things like where you were when you heard the news. And yet some people did. So it shows that even when you think something is so amazing that there's no way you could possibly misinterpret it or misremember it, unfortunately the brain, our brains, my brain, isn't as good as I perceive it to be. My memory is fallible, my perception is fallible. But this is very difficult to talk about. You personally may feel uncomfortable because I'm bringing these things up, and because it casts doubt upon your story and your recollection. And other people definitely have had that reaction, and they get very angry at me for even suggesting these things. But these are unfortunate realities of the human brain.
Well, I think some people, though, they want to be heard. Okay. They want to be heard. They want to be able to have somebody believe them. I think for a lot of experiencers, they just want someone to believe their story or their account of what they perceive they saw. And I don't have an issue with that, because I think it's pretty easy to see when someone goes into some run-on BS rather than sticking to the facts of what they know. I've had people on this show try to pull the wool over my eyes about their experiences, and sometimes you got to call BS on it, and and it goes apart with the job that I do. But for most people out there, I think that there is a trauma that goes along with that experience that most people who've never had an experience or are skeptical of it don't understand the physical traits that kind of go along with that. So, I mean, there is physical evidence of it. It's a matter of whether or not you take the time to actually go through that, whether it's, abduction, or whether it's the nightmares or everything that goes on. I remember waking up in the middle of the night. I was 3 feet above my bed and smacked my partner right across the back when I landed. Dude, I'm a chubby guy. If you haven't noticed, I just don't float 3 feet above my bed.
Right.
Right. But I mean, I woke my partner up when I hit the bed and smacked her across the back, So, I mean, there is all of these little things that add up.
Yeah, no, I mean, like an experience like that, like obviously it seems very real in your recollection and in the experience at the time. But, I've had experiences in my bedroom that have, defied all physical explanation. Like I for quite a long time, I had experiences where these giant spiders would descend from the ceiling towards me. And, I would actually see them, and I would jump out of bed, turn on the light, and, try to find the spiders, and I would be terrified. And this is a relatively common thing. It's kind of, I think it's hypnagogic hallucinations as you're falling asleep. There's a kind of disconnect between your brain and your body, where you're actually dreaming, but you feel like you're actually awake, and you feel like you're actually in the room. So the experience like yours, where you're floating above the bed, to like scientist types, they would say there's a perfectly reasonable explanation of that. It's just that you had a hallucination, and then it's just like the typical thing when you're falling asleep and you feel like you're falling and you kick out. In this case, it was a bit more extreme in that you thought you were like floating above the bed, and so you thrashed around and you hit your partner. So there's an available explanation there from the scientific thing. I'm not saying that's what's happened, but since that explanation exists, your evidence, unfortunately, it falls into that level of ambiguity where you can't actually say there's anything definitive about it. But it's certainly interesting.
Well, I know waking up my partner with her screaming at me with a couple of F-bombs was not very healthy. I can tell you that. Mick, let's get to some audience questions here.
Sure.
They are piling up. And let's start off with Tim here. What has your research determined on some of the scientific results being shown at places like Skinwalker Ranch?
Ooh. Good question. Well, yeah, I've looked into a bunch of the different claims that they made on Skinwalker Ranch, and they're not very good. I guess is my bottom line. The science that they put forward is pretty poor. For example, I've been trying for a while to get Brandon Fugel to release the data from this bottle drop experiment that they did, which is where they took a helicopter up above this triangle area. They thought there was an anomaly, and they dropped bottles with GPS receivers in them that recorded GPS data. And then they said that they recovered one of the bottles, and it showed like it bounced off something. And you see in the show that it bounced off something. And yet they don't really do any science with the data. They don't really do any analysis of it. They just display it on screen, and Travis Taylor gets up and goes, yeah, you see right there, it's a kind of a kink, like it moved to one side. But they could very easily do some good analysis on that data. Let's figure out what the acceleration is, figure out where it is in 3D space, allow people to look at it from different angles. But no, they just show something on screen, and they make this broad sweeping statement about it, and then they move on. They don't do any real analysis. And there's constantly been things historically where they've done things like they get their little trimeter out, their trifield meter, and they see these numbers on them. They say mean things, and like Travis said, this is like more than you get from the inside of a microwave oven, when it was actually what you get from a cell phone, or like what you would get from the little radio packs that they're wearing on their belts. They keep saying there's radio interference when they're ignoring the fact that they're surrounded by these like Wi-Fi routers and these little wireless microphones and things. And there's a constant litany of failings on Skinwalker Ranch. Brandon, I think, I feel like Brandon Fugel, the owner of Skinwalker Ranch, is being honest largely about doing science. And I think Eric Bard is being honest, and I think most of the other cast members are being pretty honest. They think that they're doing good science. Most of them are not scientists, the other cast members, but the science that they display on the show is really very, very bad.
But that's television, man. If we're going to judge everything on television, we're going to say Not Finding Bigfoot is a great show.
Yeah, but it's television that the people involved claim is real. Travis Taylor, lead scientist, chief scientist of the UAP task force, claims that the work he is doing on Ancient Aliens and Skinwalker Ranch is real science. He says it's real stuff that they're actually doing there. So, yeah, sure, it is television, but why is Travis Taylor saying that it's real? Is he lying when he's at Alien Con and saying these are all real phenomena that are actually happening? Is this all part of a show? And how can he be doing this, like lying in public about that, and also being on this UAP task force? It doesn't really make any sense. And the scientific presentations that he's done, I mean, I talked a bit about this in my last video. He did this one where he analyzed this wibbly pattern on the gimbal video, saying that it was an interference pattern, when actually it was just video interlacing. It was interlaced video. It was just this ridiculous mistake that he made, that he should know better. And it's not like the only mistake he's made. He's done a bunch of things like that. Yeah, and it doesn't speak well to the quality of the science that was in the original UAP task force, if that's the type of science he was doing there.
Well, the problem is they're taking weeks of footage and breaking it down to 42 minutes. I mean, the editor is the actual scientist of it all. So we don't really know what has hit the floor. That could be a lot more evidence than watching rockets go up into the atmosphere.
Well, but they show us things that are pretty specific. Like they showed us this video of like what they said. This is a little orb, and it's following this helicopter. And Brandon Fugel's like on camera saying, "Look, it is lit in the exact same way as the helicopter is lit. It's shiny." But it wasn't. They were using something called the emboss filter, standard like video/photo filter that makes things look like they are shiny. So you take a little speck on the screen, you get the emboss filter, it's going to make it look shiny, and it's going to look the same as the helicopter because the filter's making the helicopter look shiny. And they did this whole segment about this thing, and they stood up. Travis Taylor says, look, it's got two hemispheres. No, there's two hemispheres is part of what the emboss filter does. So they're showing us all this stuff on TV, but maybe there's some real science. Why didn't they show us the real science? Why did they show us all these mistakes that they made and not own up to these mistakes? It doesn't really make any sense.
I blame the editor. That's what I do. When in doubt, blame the editor. It's just much easier than watching Zach Bagans run around screaming at everything that you can't see or hear. So there is that. Mick, we got you for another 30 minutes here on Spaced Out Radio. We're having a great show, and I hope you're having a good time with us as well. Metabunk.org is Mick's website. You either love him or you don't. But I can tell you this, you get an honest answer of what he feels is what is going on in the world today. And that's why we're so glad to have Mick West on our program tonight. It's a little bit different than what we normally do, but this is how we learn. This is how we bring it all together on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. We enter the second half of the show right after this. All right, we are clear, my man.
All righty.
We are clear. That was a good half hour. Thank you for that.
Yeah. Skinwalker Ranch is very... I kind of stopped following Skinwalker Ranch like a few episodes ago. I guess the Dave Grush stuff coming out was much more interesting, but the Skinwalker Ranch, it just got to be too ridiculous, really. Yeah, they're constantly doing these bad science things like... it was that thermal camera footage that they did of when they shot a rocket up. Which was just the reflection of the fireball from the rocket being launched. It was just so, I don't know, egregiously bad science that it kind of turned me off the whole thing.
I'm really surprised though, and I know Tim Senor, my UFO report guy, him and I have talked about this both on and off the air, but I'm really surprised that more people didn't focus on that story that, Travis Taylor, here he was playing television scientist on there, and nobody focused on the fact that he was living a double life. And, if you're holding that position within Space Force, shouldn't that have been brought forward, as one of the top scientists of Space Force? And to me that just led to a little bit of the runaround that we get in this community.
Yeah, no, it's kind of weird, and I think maybe people don't talk about it because they don't really understand what the situation is. People don't really follow things like the Skinwalker Ranch situation. Skinwalker Ranch is a huge part of ufology. It's kind of like it's the foundation of ORSAP and ATIP. Goes back to Skinwalker Ranch, Harry Reid's involvement, and Robert Bigelow. All this stuff kind of is rooted in that. Hal Puthoff. All those people, they go back to Skinwalker Ranch and beyond. Hal Puthoff's previous involvement in this thing, the NIDS investigation, and what came before that, like the other people going back. Jacques Vallée. The old Invisible College, but there's this side of it that's I think almost like a bit too weird for the mainstream media to get their teeth into. You try to talk about how Skinwalker Ranch was a part of the story, and they just don't want to hear about it because it's so weird.
And I can see that argument. I do believe there are properties out there regarding high strangeness. I know my friends, where I had the majority of my experiences, my friends had 10 acres of woo, man. It was the strangest place I'd ever been. And that's what kind of switched over my whole belief pattern, but I wouldn't put it on TV. That's for sure.
Like, the thing with that is that if you do have 10 acres of woo, you should be able to do some science to demonstrate that there's something going on there. And yet you get the ultimate, I think several acres of woo in Skinwalker Ranch, supposedly the most amazing place ever. And we're not getting any results. They say they are on TV, but it's just nonsense stuff. It's just the hand waving over little wibbles in some EMF spectrum and saying it means something, but they're really not getting any repeatable results out of their multiple acres of woo. And I think if you have in science, if you have something that's repeatable, if you have something where high strangeness is always happening, then you should be able to do some experiment to actually demonstrate that. And we haven't got that.
Well, I think on my friend's property when he owned it, it was more a fact that, none of us were scientists. We were all in awe of what was going on. I mean, Mick, it was something different, like each and every night. And literally, it was almost every night there were things happening there, from hauntings to UFOs flying over to Sasquatch encounters, shadow people. I mean, it was like it was right out of a fiction novel, and it was crazy. It
but
was
unfortunately, like now, all that gets you is a bunch of cool stories.
absolutely.
We didn't get any solid evidence out of it, and Skinwalker Ranch is ostensibly trying to get solid evidence out of their acres, but we're not really getting anything that the scientists can really put their teeth into. And when they do, I've been asking Brandon Pugel for this data, small bit of data. It's like 2 megabytes of data, if that. Something you could you could probably print out and give it to me. It's such a small amount of data, and they haven't.
I apologize. Sorry. Here we go.
Yeah.
We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Dave Scott. Very glad to be right here with you for this amazing journey. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Final time tonight, we got Mick West here from metabunk.org. That's his website. Yeah, we're asking audience questions here for you, Mick. I know we're not going to get through all of them, but we're going to try and get through as many as possible here in the next 30 minutes. Our Keith Andrews is asking, have you ever encountered a video you could not functionally explain?
Yeah, all the time. Problem is that the ones that you can't explain are the ones that don't have enough information in them. So you ended up with, here's a little light in the distance. I can't explain it. Doesn't mean that it's something amazing. I mean, what people are really asking when they ask that question is like, have you seen a video that makes you think that it could possibly be, non-human intelligence or aliens? And unfortunately, no, I haven't. I've seen lots of videos I can't explain, but it's just because they're not very good videos.
All right, let's go to Max here. Have you ever analyzed the Skinny Bob videos?
Not really. I mean, there's a thread about it on Metabunk. I think, it seems like a pretty obvious fake, really. People have analyzed it and they've determined the noise pattern on top of it, the kind of grain pattern, is like from stock footage, and they found the actual stock footage that was used to overlay on these videos. But then people would just say, oh, well, that's just something that they did to misdirect people, and it's actually real video, and then they added this to create a different version. But, you're just layering something upon something else there. It didn't seem worth analyzing because it's something that you can create using CGI, and there's no real provenance. There's no real indication that it's anything other than that. So I didn't really seem like it'd be worth time analyzing.
Kevin Day on Facebook, you know him from the Nimitz incident. He is asking, Mick, if you were asked to testify before Congress, would you consider it?
Sure, yeah. I'm not sure why they would ask me, though. I mean, what are they going to say? Like, Mick, what do you think of all these videos? But definitely, I would definitely testify before Congress. And if they wanted to just get a skeptic's perspective on the evidence, then I would give it. But yeah, not a problem.
Philip Blair wants to know, what do you think of UFOs that show up on radar?
I would like to see the actual data. There's very, very little and very sparse actual data that we've got from radar. Like radar now is pretty amazing. You can basically give 3D motion tracks of objects in space. And if UFOs were showing up on radar, I think they would be showing up on the FAA radar and the NORAD radar and the unfiltered FAA radar, which they do actually store the unfiltered radar. But there isn't any. We've got maybe some like really old radar. We don't actually have the data. We just have some like, screenshots and things like that. So I think things do show up on radar. A lot of the times it's going to be glitches. Some of it might be real stuff, but we don't have anything that's kind of unambiguously weird that is definitively like correlated with something that somebody has seen. So it would be a great source of correlating data, but I don't think we've got any good data yet.
Nikki in Seattle is asking, Nick, what's your take, opinion, or viewpoint on ET abductees?
Well, again, there we're really lacking in the physical evidence. Like, if people were being abducted from their rooms at the rate that some people suggest, then it should be relatively straightforward to demonstrate this. Like, people would have cameras that show something happening, like, maybe even their external security cameras. I mean, are they being abducted by being teleported out of their rooms, or do people come in and take them, or what's actually going on there? It's one of these things that it's a story that has plausible explanations in science, which is that essentially people have dreams or hallucinations of things like people in their rooms. So there's that aspect of it. And then you have people's recollection, which seems like they're from their perspective, it seems very, very real. But unfortunately, that's also what happens with these types of hallucinations. So because we have a plausible scientific explanation for these really weird events, and we don't have any physical evidence that these events actually happened, then there's not a lot we can do in terms of kind of forming any hypothesis about what it might be, other than this hallucinations and whatnot. Perhaps there's something going on there, but how do we demonstrate that? How do we demonstrate it beyond just listening to the testimony of people? It's a tricky one, because again we butt into this difficulty of like, if you don't believe the person, are you disrespecting them? Are you insulting them? Are you calling them crazy? So it's a difficult subject to discuss. But unfortunately, we know things like hypnagogic hallucinations happen. Sleep paralysis is a real thing, and it can result in memories and experiences just like have been described. So it's a tricky thing, but the evidence doesn't really stand up as a solid physical thing.
What about the studies of Gary Nolan at Stanford regarding alien abductees, or what they're doing at Rice University?
Yeah, Gary Nolan's study, like basically they were studying people who thought that they'd had a ET experience, and they thought that they'd been harmed by it. And he found this larger than normal, I think it's the Pudet Camptum. I can't remember exactly what the word is, but part of the brain had more connections than normal. And originally he thought this was actually being caused by the experience, the abduction. But then he found out that like these things were actually pre-existing. So they weren't actually being caused by it. So then he thought that perhaps there's a correlation, like people who have a specific type of brain are more prone to having this type of experience. And that might be true. I mean, maybe it's actually they have more sleep hallucinations. Maybe also their brains are more receptive to a certain type of interdimensional communication from non-human intelligence. But the sleep hallucinations thing seems more plausible to me. Of course, it's very difficult to talk to the individual about that because, for the reasons I've discussed earlier.
All right, moving on here. Let's go to Derek. Mick, what are your thoughts? Do you believe the Senate committee is going to take over disclosure over the House committee?
Well, I don't know about that. Seems like kind of a procedural type of thing. But yeah, I mean, the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence, with this, was it Mark Warner and Marco Rubio, they seem to be looking into it. And I expect something to come out of that. People are holding hearings as well. So I don't know who's going to do it, but I expect things to happen in the future, in the near future.
Okay, continuing on, let's go to B. Baker. What researchers in the UFO phenomena field do you think do good work?
I'm terrible with names, so I'm going to have a very hard time kind of bringing anybody's name up. I don't know. What do you think? Do you have like favorite people?
Oh, I do, but mine are all. I
Yeah.
love the work of Grant Cameron. Nicole Sackage does great work. I enjoy Richard Dolan. I enjoy Geraldine Orozco from a spiritual sense. My mind kind of goes a little bit all over the place with everything, but I also like, the scientific side of things. Dr. Bob McGuire, Dr. Michael P. Masters,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess like I have a difficult time answering that question. I've talked to some people like Gary Nolan and Jacques Vallée, and they do some good work. There was an investigation I did on these hairdryer burns, where people have these burns on their bodies that looked like hairdryers, and I investigated it and found that it seemed to be hairdryers, and it seemed like when I talked to Jacques Vallée about it and Gary Nolan, they'd done the exact same work. They'd done good work. They'd done this investigation and they did all this stuff. They just didn't publicize the fact that it was hairdryers in a lot of cases because they didn't want to dissuade people who had genuine strange marks on their body from coming forward. So, a lot of people do very good work. People like the SCU. A lot of the stuff the SCU does is good, detailed work, but, they also mess up a lot. So, it's people, I mess up too. So I don't know. It's a difficult question to answer because I think we'd have to get into specifics there. But
I get you. Well, we don't have enough time, to be honest. We could go another 2 hours with this. All right. Too Big over on Twitch is asking, Mick, what are your thoughts on the likelihood of intelligent life elsewhere and the possibility of contact across the vast distances involved?
I think it's pretty much 100% that there's intelligent life somewhere in the universe. I think the chances of it contacting us are unknown, but I would tend towards them being fairly small. If you watch Brian Dunning's new documentary, which is only just released, I'm not sure where it's streaming yet, if anywhere, he talks about that in some detail and goes over the arguments. And the problem with intelligent life is that it probably lasts in a cosmic scale not very long. It's just like a blink of an eye. So the chances of it existing at the same time as us and close enough to visit us are probably fairly small, unless it's actually lasted long enough to spread through the entire galaxy, and we don't see any evidence of that.
I want to ask you, just away from the audience questions here, what about NASA? Okay, to me, NASA is a big player in this, who are treating the public as morons, as a bunch of idiots. And when I
say that,
no, I would, and I'll explain why.
Yeah.
Okay, when Bill Nelson gets in front of his first press conference, and for no reason brings up the UFO side, and then goes on to doesn't even mention NASA, talking about all the fighter pilots and how he's impressed about all this. Then they hold this bogus study that they spend $100,000 on, complaining that they now need $50 billion in order to get the tech going. We knew that was coming. But for decades, there has been evidence of the astronauts and pilots on recordings claiming what they have seen and what they are experiencing while out in space. Darcy Weir, who's a great documentarian, has got the audio for that and put it into the documentaries of the actual voice footage from these, and NASA just sits there and denies it. and doesn't even want to get into the subject matter. To
Yeah.
me, that's a travesty.
Yeah, I think there's two very different subjects there. I mean, NASA's current thing is, I think it's basically just Bill Nelson as being convinced by the current wave of testimony and videos and stuff that there's something to it, and so he ordered this new investigation, and NASA is somewhat reluctantly doing it. I mean, they'd rather do SETI type work rather than this. Then the other stuff like the evidence from the astronauts, it's usually pretty old stuff. But and it's very compelling to some people. It's not something I really looked into that much. Like interpreting what people describe on some audio recording, it's kind of difficult unless you can actually talk to that person and ask them what they actually meant when they said something. They could just be like a loose piece of equipment or something floating around, or bits of ice and things like that. It's obviously very easy to kind of hand wave it away, but bottom line is we don't actually know what they saw or what they were actually referring to in those audio segments.
All right, continuing on. Nikiana, first-time listener in our chat room, what physical evidence would suffice?
Well, a flying saucer would be great, but failing that, just good video and good photos of something actually doing something, like close-up photos of good craft from multiple witnesses. This is what you really want. You want more than one video, more than one photo of the same thing that's demonstrating something like either hovering or moving at incredible accelerations. So I think that's kind of the baseline, and anything more than that would be great. But we haven't even got to that yet.
Okay, continuing. We're racing through here. Let's go to Philip Blair. Mick, have you examined the scholarship of UFOs done by atmospheric physicist Professor James E. McDonald in the 1960s? If not, would you?
People bring it up. I haven't really looked into it that much because I don't think there's a lot you can get out of these really old stuff like the 1960s. I mean, that's like 60 plus years ago, like 60 years ago. It's very old, stale evidence that if nothing has come of it by now, me looking into it isn't really going to change that.
I love this question from LM. Mick, what is your second favorite hobby aside from your hobbyist day job that served you?
My second favorite hobby. Well, I like photography. I like taking photos. And I don't know. What do people do as hobbies? I watch TV with my wife. I play backgammon. I go cycling. I go for hikes. I do a whole bunch of things that normal people do, and I also investigate UFO videos.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That sounds like a singles profile right there. Pete wants to know, Mick, can you outline a proper science plan or methodology for UFO study?
Well, for science, you want stuff that's repeatable. So you want data that kind of correlates with other data. I mean, ideally, you want to be able to get something that happens over and over again, and you can repeat it. But if you can't get that, you want to try to establish patterns in the data. What you're doing there with ufology isn't so much kind of analyzing little signals and whatnot. What the claims are is that we're actually seeing physical craft, and we actually have physical craft, and we have this, all these sightings all the time. We shouldn't be just trying to figure out patterns in the data. We should be able to actually have video of the actual thing. So I really actually think, Avi Loeb's approach is quite reasonable. If these things are actually happening, then get much better cameras that are dedicated to try to take really good photos and videos of these things. If pilots are seeing things all the time, then put cameras on planes that are as good resolution as the pilot's eyes that are looking out at the skies all the time, and eventually you're going to capture some UFOs. I mean, if they're seeing them all the time off the coast of Virginia Beach on the East Coast, Ryan Graves says they were seeing them every day. Go out and follow them and see what they're actually doing. If there's a repeatable situation, get in there and start digging into it. It shouldn't be that complicated. I guess like the problem is money. Like it costs a lot to do these things, and because we don't have the baseline evidence that suggests that these things are real, it's hard to justify spending the money. But yeah, Harvey Loeb's got some billionaire to give him some money, so that's good. Maybe something will come from that.
I'd like some of that. I'm not going to lie.
I'll take it.
Yeah, and I would too. All right, let's go to Jules. How do you account for anomalous health effects from proximity to the phenomena, which has been documented in military records such as Rendlesham and others?
Well, I think like if somebody has an experience with a UFO and then like 20 years later they get cancer, it doesn't necessarily mean that one thing caused the other. Right? The guy from Rendlesham who got ill, and he recently had some senator, I think, or a congressman get him a veteran status and saying that his illness was related to his service. People interpret that as meaning that his illness was related to what happened in Rendlesham Forest, but there's no real evidence that there's actually any correlation there. And this is the problem: is can you get correlation between one thing and the other? I mean, it's hard enough with things like Gulf War syndrome or the toxic burn pits or the 9/11 dust. There's all this contested causation for things that are fairly self-evident like that. Then you've got something like, a guy saying, I had an experience with a UFO and now I have leukemia. It's very difficult to actually demonstrate a correlation between those things.
Continuing on, Too Big is asking, Mick, what are your thoughts on the likelihood of intelligent life elsewhere? Or I think we've already asked that question. I apologize. Let's go to Pixie Lara. Mick, have you done any boots on the ground research in any places of reported repeated cases of UFOs or other phenomena? If so, where? If not, would you if the opportunity arose?
I have not. I would like to. I got invited to Skinwalker Ranch, but I think that invite has evaporated due to my continued criticism of the show. But yeah, if someone's got something near Sacramento that's where things are happening on the regular, then yeah, we'd be happy to look into it. But no, I haven't actually been to any place like that.
Is there a specific case you would love to know more about that you are like, hey, if this is going to convince me, this is the case? Would it be Roswell? Would it be the Phoenix Lights? Would it be something different?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter actually which one it is. Like anything that can actually unambiguously demonstrate something amazing. I mean, there's cases I'd really like to figure out, like Gimbal, the Gimbal video and the GoFast video and the Nimitz encounter, just because I've looked into them so much that I'm just really interested in figuring out. I'd be happy if it was shown to be like an amazing flying craft in Gimbal, but I'd also be happy if it was just a distant plane or whatever it ends up being. But I would like to know. But yeah, I don't really care which one it is. Just show me the money.
That's what it comes down to. We got one more question here from our audience, Bad Daddy. What about implants that surgeons have removed from people for years?
Yeah, well, people get bits of metal embedded in them. I mean, this is just a fact of human existence. People fall and they have an injury and they end up with a bit of like a stone or a bit of metal or something embedded in them. And then 20 years later, they've completely forgotten all about it and it works its way out and they think it's an implant. And people do x-rays and they find things embedded inside people. It's something that, yeah, again, there is a plausible scientific explanation for it, but other people choose to interpret it in a different way. The things that they remove, they're not anything. They're just bits of metal or the stones or things like that. But if you stick them under a microscope, you can imagine you're seeing like circuit boards and things on them, but you're not really. It's just a bit of debris that someone got embedded in them for whatever reason many years ago.
Mick, do me a favor, if you don't mind, as we got about a minute to go here.
Sure.
Tell everybody where they can find more information on your studies.
Well, if you want to see what I've been doing, YouTube is a good place to look. YouTube.com/Mick West. Or I'm on Twitter a lot, tweeting a lot. I'm being misunderstood a lot. Just at Mick West on Twitter. I'm at Mick West pretty much everywhere. And my website is medabunk.org. And if you're really interested, you could read my book, Escaping the Rabbit Hole, new edition just released, which has a chapter on UFOs, but it is not that much about UFOs. It's more about conspiracy theories other than UFOs. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
Very much appreciate you coming on the show and giving your side of the story, Mick. And we really do appreciate you taking the time for our audience right around North America and the world. Thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I had a great time here.
Yeah, we're going to do it again. I can tell you that. We're going to do it again. Mick West, everybody. Coming up next on the Mighty SORs, we enter hour number 3. We got Steve Stockton from Among the Missing joining us for another spooky story. Then our main man, Javier from Cryptid 559, is going to join us for the Cryptid Report. We got a jam-packed hour number 3 coming up right after this. Stay tuned. Lots of show left. Thank you, Mick.
All right. Thank you, Dave.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
I hope you had a good time.
I did. I do have to go now, though. So
yep, not a
good
problem.
Rest of the show. And thanks to everybody in the audience and for the good questions.
Thank you, bud. We'll do it again. Bye-bye.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Mick West, everybody. Good audience tonight, by the way. Good audience. Tough guest. Good audience. Thank you, guys, for being pro in the chat room. Very much appreciate that. And Kira, thank you for the last 2 super chats, my dear. I'll be right back. And stay tuned. Javier, I'll be right back, okay? All right. You guys having a good time? Glad you're all here. Thank you. Derek, what kind of variety would you like? Let me know. See, the problem is, Derek, is numbers. I can bring on crime writers. Hey, Ross Smith, how you doing? I can bring on NDE people. My numbers tank. Believe it or not, go look at my views. My numbers tank. I do UFOs or cryptids, my numbers go up. I agree with you. But what do? I got to bring on what people are interested in. That's the issue. You're not wrong, though. You're not wrong. Thank you, Kira ×2, Michael, LMDA, Aaron, Deb, and Louie for the great super chats. Very much appreciated.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We very much appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on Odyssey Radio, TalkStream Live, and KPNL. All of our archives are free. Join us, will you, at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Machair. Machair is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. It's time once again to head to Steve Stockton from Among the Missing with another weird story for you.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Among the Missing YouTube channel on Spaced Out Radio. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'm about to take you on an unbelievable journey of people just like you. Their stories and encounters will haunt us on Among the Missing. Hello, my wandering wanderers. Steve Stockton here with you, ATM on SOR. Tonight, we bring you the tale of the Pukwudgie. The Pukwudgie is a mythical creature from the folklore of the Wampanoag Native American tribe of Massachusetts. The legend of the Pukwudgie has been passed down through generations of Native Americans and has become a popular subject in modern folklore. The Pukwudgie is described as a small humanoid creature standing roughly 2 to 3 feet tall. It has gray skin and large ears, and its features are said to be somewhat human-like. It is known for its mischievous and often malevolent nature, often causing trouble for humans who cross its path. According to legend, the Pukwudgie has the ability to shapeshift, disappear, and reappear at will, and also produce fire. It's also believed to have a strong connection to the natural world, often using plants and animals to aid in its mischief. In Wampanoag folklore, the Pukwudgie is both feared and respected. It's said to be a powerful and intelligent creature with knowledge of the natural world. It's also believed to be a guardian of the forest, protecting the land and its inhabitants from harm. Despite its revered status, encounters with the Pukwudgies are said to be dangerous. The creature is known for its trickery and has been known to lead humans astray in the forest, causing them to become lost and or disoriented. It has also been known to throw rocks or use other means to cause physical harm. In modern times, the Pukwudgie has become a popular subject in paranormal and cryptozoological circles. Many people claim to have encountered the creature or have seen evidence of its existence, including strange footprints or unexplained phenomena in the forest. While the existence of the Pukwudgie remains a matter of debate, the legend continues to captivate and intrigue people around the world. Its mischievous and unpredictable nature, as well as its connection to the natural world, make a fascinating subject of study for those interested in folklore, mythology, and the paranormal. Well, Wondering Wonders, there you have it. What do you think of the mysterious Pukwudgie? I look forward to your comments. Thanks again for listening to ATM on SOR. I'm Steve Stockton, and I'll see you a little further on down the trail.
Thank you, Steve. And to find more from Steve Stockton, head over to youtube.com/Among the Missing and check on out his great stories that he puts out on a daily basis. I love the channel. I love the stories. He's got a great team of writers behind him researching these great missing people stories. Well worth the entertainment. All right, from the missing to the mountains of California. Big Bad Javier from Cryptid 559 filling in for Super Duke on the Cryptid Report tonight. Super Duke, the Cryptid Report with Super Duke. Javier, my man, haven't seen you since Vegas, except in our chat room, but hope you're doing well, man. I hope you had a good time at our fan party, my man.
Oh, yeah, I definitely had a good time. Can you hear me well?
You are sounding beautiful, looking
Okay,
beautiful.
good.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yep. Thanks for inviting us. Thanks for having us on tonight.
Oh, anytime, my man. Anytime. We love having you here, and thank you for filling in as we got you until the top of the hour, talking all things cryptid. And yesterday I got sent some pictures from a listener who lives south of me, and I'm not going to give out where he lives, but I had a couple of conversations with him earlier today about the Sasquatch that are roaming around his area, plus some other high strangeness that is going on. And what's interesting about it is his property, he's got 10 acres, and it's situated kind of in between two reservations. And the high strangeness coming in from both sides, from the property being haunted to finding 19.5-inch footprints.
Wow.
I mean, he's like, Dave, when are you coming down? Dude,
Yeah.
I'm like, I want your property.
Right.
I want to live there. I couldn't though, because there's literally no internet service there.
Yeah, usually, those areas, there's no internet service, so it's hard to go live, and it's, like in our areas, or we have our hotspots, it's hard to go live because there's no internet service.
I hear you. But I mean, Javier, we hear of these. We were talking with Mick West earlier, and I know you were listening in, and we talk about these properties that people have where it's just total high strangeness, hauntings and cryptids and fairies and orbs and UFOs and everything that goes along. Do you think that these are a lot more common than what we have found?
I think so. I think there's a lot more areas, a lot more hotspots that we know about. People out there don't want to talk, it's for being ridiculed, which I understand. And but little by little, I believe people are talking more now than ever, and with all this stuff coming out and disclosure, I believe is coming soon, and people are starting to come out and tell their stories or and reach out to groups, all these cryptid groups and paranormal groups. So yeah, I feel like there's more areas that we know about.
I would love to have something like that. Like when my friends had that 10-acre property, there was high strangeness all over the place. Knowing what I know now, I would probably set up, some sort of secret scientific experimentation. I know enough scientists now from being in this field where I'd be like, hey guys, like, let's test my property. Let's set up some experiments here and kind of get things going. And I would do that now. But like back then when everything was happening, it was just so fresh and we were so in awe because literally it was every night. It
Mm.
was every night where the ghosts were coming out or the high strangeness in the yard would be happening. You'd you know be outside and all of a sudden you'd hear like slapping in one of their ponds. Well, they didn't have fish in those ponds. There was no beavers in
Mm.
those ponds. Okay, so what is taking a stick and slapping the water?
Yeah.
You know, and when you live in a rural area, it's not just some teenage kid playing a trick on you at 2 o'clock in the morning. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, and I've experienced that too. In our areas, and one time we were out at my friend's in the country. We were out there, and I had heard that there was going to be some the military was going to be doing some maneuvering and um, flying over, out here in the country. They were going to be doing some maneuvers, and so we went out to my friend's place out in the country, and so we can get a better area, so we can see the night sky. But unfortunately, it was cloudy that night, and we can hear like helicopters, but we couldn't see them. So I believe they were over the, above the clouds, doing what they were doing. But that night, while we were out by the road, it was all dark. His house is away from the road for, quite a bit, and it was all dark. So we were just parked out by the road, and all of a sudden I hear feet like walking on the road. You hear the feet, somebody walking, and then so all three of us go quiet, and I see across the street from us white pants. Um, I didn't see the upper torso, but I did see black hair. I couldn't see the face. Long black hair and white pants. And then she was carrying. It was a lady, of course, and she was carrying something. And this is like at 11 o'clock at night. And she was walking. I don't know where she came out of, because there were citrus orchards all around this house. But we heard, as soon as I heard the footsteps on the road, we all heard it, and it walked right across on the road, right across from us. And we were looking at her, and we couldn't see the face again. I'm telling you, I could not see the face. I could just see long black hair and white pants. And my cousin's whispering to me, "Hey, what the heck, dude? Does she need help?" I go, "Dude, I got a bad vibe from this. Don't ask her anything. Don't approach her, nothing. Just let's let her do her thing and let her go." So she just walked across from us, and then once she passed us, she walked across the street and into the orchard. So it's like, yeah, there's a lot of craziness out here. I don't know where she came from, Dave. That's what's weird.
There is so much strange that people are experiencing, whether it's cryptids, UFOs, paranormal, like this great story you just shared with us. For you as an investigator, how important is the anecdotal story? I mean, listening to Mick, I understand his concerns and levels of frustration with it, but overall, I like a good anecdotal story. I look at it as a good lead. Like, for instance, the gentleman I was talking to you about a few minutes ago about his property, I would have nothing to go on if I didn't get his story,
Yeah,
and that's a place to go. Like, that is a lead for me.
right.
What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, we need to. Yeah, that's what we hear. Other stories from other people, and we need to have those stories. We need to have people reach out to us, and then we'll go investigate. That's what we do. Yeah, we can. I'm also, as a group, we're also out there looking for evidence in certain areas. Now I know what to look for. And I look in those areas, and if I see evidence, then we're going to be going in there. Now, if it's private property, obviously we're going to have to ask permission. But if it's not, if it's along by the road or something like that, like a park or something, then we're going to go in there and park and go investigate those areas. But yeah, I mean, we also, we try to reach out to people and ask them if they if they live out in the country or anywhere, our friends or family, and our families know already, what we're doing. So when they hear from a friend of theirs talk about some strange stuff or they encounter something, then they'll tell, hey, we have I have a son or I have a nephew that does this, and then they'll tell their story, and then they'll tell us, and then from there we get all the information, the location, and we head out there. But yeah, I mean, we need to have people talk, to reach out to us.
No, do you find more people are getting more comfortable in reaching out?
I believe so. I see it too. Now, I see some family members now are going more towards being more believers in my side. But yeah, I do. I see a lot of more people coming. They're not being, afraid of talking about it anymore. At least around me.
That's because your family learned you're a weirdo, man. Just saying, don't shoot the messenger here, my man.
My family's experienced so much stuff. It's like, hey, I'm not weird because you've experienced stuff too. So don't. I'm not weird.
Javier from Cryptid 559 is here tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Javier, you are looking for Bigfoot. You're looking for Dogman. You're looking for a number of really cool things that are out there right now. How is, from when we talked to you a few months ago, how has your season gone so far?
It's been pretty busy with work, but we did go out a couple of weeks ago back to the Avocado Lake area. And right now, unfortunately, the river is all closed off because of the massive snow melt that we're getting down here in the valley. So it's overflowing the Kings River. And so they closed down all the Avocado Lake, anything along the river, it's all closed down. But we can still park by the bridge where I had my Dogman encounter. So me and Jesus went out there a couple weeks ago. As it was getting dark, we parked out there. River's running fast. We didn't experience anything there at the bridge, so we ended up going to behind Avocado Lake on the other side of the river, where there's another turnout. And we parked there, and I noticed that there was some dead animals there. And this is the area where I made a video. It's been a couple years now, where we found 3-toed prints. I made a video and got pictures, so it's on our YouTube channel. But this is the area where we found 3-toed prints heading down the turnout and heading towards the river. So in this area, there was I have pictures on my Facebook. We posted on our Facebook page. It looks like a dead rabbit or a dead bunny, but it looks pretty big. And then also there next to it was a dead, what I believe it's either a coyote. I'm not too sure, but it looked like a coyote. But yeah, there's been we've always noticed in that turnout that there's always dead animals there. And even on my YouTube banner, that picture with it looks like I believe it's a goat skull. That's from that same area. So there's always dead animals there. Something's always feeding in that area. We've noticed. And I don't believe it's people just dropping off dead animals. There's something taking it there.
Are you sure it isn't people? Are you
No,
sure it isn't?
I don't think it's people. Honestly, I don't. Just the way that these animals are torn apart. And there's a lot of grass, high grass, and then it's not real easy to go down this cliff. Okay, yeah, people can just dump them over, but they would roll down all the way down, and they're just by the road here, and they're just like it's just a fur. It's like there's no bones. So I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't get the sense if it's people. I think it's something else doing it, because we also found in that area there's a fig tree, and inside this fig tree was a whole animal, and you can see the ribs inside. So something was feeding inside this fig tree, was feeding on it. So I don't know. And across the way from this, also we noticed the A-type structure across the river. It was an A-type structure, and I've talked about those on my channel couple of times and on other podcasts about the A-type structures that we see a lot in these hotspot areas. What they
Okay,
mean, I don't.
explain to our audience what an A-type structure would look like.
We've been seeing these two. It's usually two logs, being perched up like an A, and then one going across. So we call them A-type structures. So it kind of forms like an A. And in our hotspots, we've been noticing those. It's not like it's natural because we've had them here close to town, in our hotspot area here in town. We've seen it on the other one. I captured creatures or dogman in the tree. There was one there, and then there's a small one there, and then there's another one in Avocado Lake, and then we see it again over here behind Avocado Lake. I mean, I don't know what they are. I mean, it's a structure. We call it A-type structure, but is it a doorway? Is it a marking? Is it a portal hole, door? I mean, I don't know. But yeah, we noticed that it was there.
Interesting. When you're in an area like that, so we got about 3 minutes to go. What's the feeling like? What are you going through?
When we go out there, we usually feel if something is going on, and when it does happen, our hair stands up. You can feel the energy in the atmosphere. It's like static energy. You can feel it. It's all heightened up. Your hair stand up on your back of your head and in your arms. I mean, this is what we felt out there. Your stomach starts to turn a little bit here. We start to get headaches. Like something's not right. And you start getting the high sense of something's going to happen, and usually it does for us. That's what we say. Sometimes I pick it up, sometimes Jesus does, or sometimes both of us picks it up. So we're always asking each other, what we're feeling when we're out there.
Oh. So the energy for people who've never been in that scenario, how would you explain it?
It's like a static energy, like when you're people I know, had this the feeling when your hair stands up on your arms or behind your head, you feel like your hair is standing up. It's that type of feeling. And then beyond that, like your stomach starts to turn. You're not feeling right. Like your stomach's starting to hurt. Like you're getting nervous, that kind of pain, but you're not. You're just out there, but all of a sudden you get that pain in your stomach and you get a headache or you just get really, really anxious, like I do. I get really you're just waiting for it to something to happen, and it does. You're just waiting and waiting, and finally it happens. But it's different every time. Sometimes it's everything together. Sometimes it's just one thing. Like one time, me and my cousin went out there about 9:30. We were driving out there, and as soon as we crossed this bridge, we were still about 10 minutes away from Avocado Lake, but there was another bridge that we crossed to get to there. As soon as we crossed this bridge, my hair, I'm driving, my hair stood up on my arms, and I didn't say a word to my cousin. After we passed the bridge, I looked to my cousin, and he tells me, "Hey, did you feel that?" And I go, "What? Feel what?" "Dude, my hair stood up on my arms." I go, "Yeah, me too." I didn't want to say anything until I wanted to see if you felt it, and we both felt it, and we felt it throughout that whole night that we were up there. And we didn't experience anything when we parked out there, but we didn't stay very long because we felt like something bad was gonna happen, like bad. I go, "Dude, I'm not feeling well." He goes, "Me neither. There's something bad out here, something going on." And sure enough, we wrapped it up. We parked for about maybe 10, 15 minutes, and we were like, "Dude, I don't know, but I've never felt it like this high." Like it was just weird, that feeling, and it wasn't good.
Well, let's talk about that when we return on the show here, because it's not the first time I've heard or even felt like something like that going on, where you enter an area and all of a sudden you start feeling ill or start feeling no longer like you did when on your drive in. I think that is a big push towards some of this high strangeness that goes on in these cryptid, UFO, haunted type areas. My name is Dave Scott. I am the captain of the Woo Train tonight. Javier from Cryptid 559 in California is with us. Cryptid Report continues on Spaced Out Radio right after this. Stay tuned. All right, we're clear, dude.
Good. Hello, everybody in the chat. I can't see the chat, but hello, everybody in the chat.
And he wants to know where you're located.
We're located in Wheatley, California, which is about 30 minutes east of Fresno, California. It's in the Central Valley.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we're between Bakersfield and Sacramento, in the middle.
Yeah. Appreciate you doing this tonight, man.
Hey, no problem. Anytime. Anytime. I love doing it.
I cannot wait to get back into the chiropractor tomorrow.
Yeah, I got one appointment tomorrow too.
Oh, I'm dying.
Yeah, my back. I hear you. My back's doing this. It's in almost like a S.
I have a knot in my shoulder, right underneath my left shoulder blade, that is causing my entire arms to be numb right down to my elbow. And I've gone twice to the chiropractor. She could not get my neck to crack.
Wow.
And it is so stiff. And she brings in this big massage hand machine, and and I'm thinking, whoa, that would be fun elsewhere. But she shoves it on my shoulder, and it feels good. I need like 45 minutes with that thing.
Right.
Yeah. But unfortunately, chiropractors are always in a rush to get you out of there. So you get like a minute and a half of it, and when she grinds that in there, it's like, oh God, it hurts so good right now.
My chiropractor's all into this UFO and cryptid stuff. Yeah. So he's always asking, hey, what's new? What's new? What's going on out there? Oh, you haven't heard? He's a cool dude.
Oh, yes. Let's see here. Let's read Twitter here. Miculus. Hey, Dave. Caught the first 10 minutes of your live show with Mick. I can't interact on phone because it's in the code of my tablet at home. If you get a chance, sorry I didn't get a chance. The Out There channel. This is a very nice tweet. Why hang with a shill radio podcast? Not good for reputations. Oh, I didn't know we had a bad reputation. It's funny. You get somebody like this where I've never said anything bad about them. Never said anything bad, but they got to get in that dig. They got to get in that dig, and they got to get in that because at one point I was friends with somebody they didn't like. So now I'm a shill podcast. Last time I checked, I was a shill radio show. Get it right. Get it right. Shill radio show.
Yeah.
Super Duke has taken the summer off for his research. He's trying to spend as much time in the forest as he can this summer.
Yeah, I wish I could, but I gotta work. I gotta work. I'm busy right now. Yeah. Busy.
Stargazer, I gotta wait till Guns N' Roses in October to do that.
It's starting to get hot here. It's gonna be reaching 106 in a couple of days, and that's when the pterodactyl sightings start. So hopefully we capture them on film, man.
Dude, I want to. If you do, you tell me. I'm bringing you right onto the show.
All right. Yeah, I need to do something. I need to go put game cams out or something. I gotta do something.
Yeah, no kidding. We got about 45 seconds here, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you tonight to Kira ×2, Louie, Deb, AA, Ron, DA, LM, and Michael for the amazing super chats. Very much appreciate the love and support. Thank you so much. And we got 10 seconds. Don't forget, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, and hit that subscribe button. Hit it. Just hit it. Here we go. Final half hour of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Good to see you with us tonight. My name is Dave Scott. I'm the host of Spaced Out Radio. Glad you're here. Want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on TikTok at Spaced Out Radio. Does anybody really use TikTok anymore? Nobody talks about TikTok anymore. I don't know. Maybe we'll get rid of it. Javier from Cryptid 559 out of Fresno, California is here. We appreciate him filling on in for Super Duke on the Cryptid report. And you know what? Right before the break, we were talking about the idea of, people experiences that they're having, the sightings they're having. I love the fact that I could have a good story. I know a lot of people out there don't like that, but I like it. How do you like it? What's your favorite? Do you like it when somebody comes up to you and says, Javier, you're not going to believe this story I got for you?
Yeah. I'd like to hear everybody's encounter stories. I want to hear how it went down. I want to hear what they experienced. I want to see if it's similar to our experiences when what we've encountered also out in the field, and I want to see if there's similarities there. How their encounter went down, what they saw. Is it similar to ours and stuff like that? I love hearing their stories.
Me too. You also have stories about pterodactyls.
Yes, sir.
For our audience members who may not fully understand, and thinking pterodactyls went, bye-bye hundreds of thousands of years ago, you've actually encountered something like this.
Yes, we did in 2020. I believe it was summer of 2020. Yep. Me and Jesus were out again by the bridge out by Avocado Lake and this famous bridge, and we had just gotten there. It was getting dark, and I had this big spotlight, and we were about there about 5 minutes, and I was messing with the spotlight, trying to see if I can get some eye shine out of this island in the river with all this shrubbery going, tall shrubbery, and so I was just waving it back and forth, and all of a sudden I hear a screech. I yell a loud screech, right? And it sounded like a bird, but a different type of sound, and I've never heard before. And so I keep it on the where I thought I heard it coming out of, and so sure enough, I see a bird coming out of the shrubbery, out of that island. And I thought it was a crane. There's cranes out there, so I thought it was one of those cranes that we see out there. And I told Jesus, check it out. There's a bird coming out of the shrub. That's what it was, because we both heard the loud screech. So I kept the light on it, and I keep my head on the swivel because that's where I saw the dogman, right? So I'm looking I'm always having my head on the swivel, looking behind me, and make sure there's nothing behind us. And then Jesus said, "Hey, that's a large bird." And when he said that, I turned around right away and made sure I had the light on it. And sure enough, when I looked at it again, so it was all completely out now. out of the shrubs, I saw this long beak. It was at least 2 feet long. I saw a bone structure protruding out of, along its around its eye. I saw a nub, not a point, like a long pointy one, but a little nub on the top of the head. And then I noticed that it had no feathers at all. And then at that time, it opened up its wings, and it was leathery type skin, brownish grayish color, and just like a bat type, and it opened up its wings and it flapped it real slow once, and it was off the ground. And then it did it again, real slow, and then it was over the bridge, heading towards the dam. And I didn't see a tail. I didn't see the feet because it had its back towards us. I didn't see the underbelly, so it had its back towards us. But I did see the wings, man. At least 12-foot wingspan. We figured it had, and it just flew like just smooth, low to the ground, over the bridge, heading towards the dam. It didn't go high up in the sky. It was low to the ground along the river. It was flying over the river. And you can see, I remember seeing scratch marks on the beak, the long beak. You can see scratch marks. Yeah, it was crazy. And then when it did that, me and Jesus looked at each other, and I told him, dude, what did you see? And we were asking both of us asked each other what we saw. So I went first. I said, I saw this. I saw the nub on the head. I saw a large beak, no feathers. And I told him, dude, did we see a pterodactyl? Some sort of pterodactyl? And he goes, yeah, dude, we saw it. That's what I was thinking. And then we had heard, like I said, we had heard reports along the Kings River, but man, when we saw it, we were all excited. We were all pumped after that. It's like, wow, this is awesome.
Now, for people who don't know, how close were you to this?
I want to say at least 50 yards. At least.
And it was that big you could describe even the scratches on its beak.
Yeah, I can see the scratches. It had scratches on its beak, on the sides. On the side that was facing towards us, I can see it had scratches.
Did it make eye contact with you guys? Did it see you guys?
I'm pretty sure it did because it saw the light. And I think that's why it came out of the shrubbery. Because I was panning the light back and forth, and I think that's what made it come out. Because Dave, we feel that little island. That's why we were looking at that. We were putting the light on that little island. We think that's a portal. That little island. Okay, now did it come through a portal? I don't know, but it happened to be on that island. And we had pictures of that island when we first started our channel. And my cousin took random pictures, like 3 consecutive pictures back to back. And in one of the pictures in that island, you can see faces in the shrubs, like fire, like their hair is fire. You can see faces. You can see stairs. You see little statuettes. You see some coming out of the stairs. There's a lot of stuff going on in that picture and that island. And that's why we feel it could be a portal. And I've heard other people tell me that they feel it's a portal also.
What does a portal feel like?
Well, maybe that's the energy that we're feeling when we get out there. Maybe that's when it's active or when it's open. Maybe that's what's causing the hair to rise, from your arms, and that static energy, that anxiousness, that stomach, you feeling sick, headaches. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah, I'm not sure because, so many times, as we talked about in the last half hour, right at the end there, so many times we have heard people, when they've been around these creatures, they seem to get ill or angry or down or sad or sore or, it's amazing how that seems to work all the time on these creatures. What do you think that is? Do you think the creature is giving off some sort of energetic energy to or energetic I'm going to use the term pheromone or something, where it's literally saying, don't come around I don't want you here. I'm going to make you feel
Yeah.
ill. I'm going to make you feel horrible. What do you think?
Okay, well, let me tell you a story. So this one happened near Clovis, California, just on the outskirts of Clovis, California. My other friend from up there, he took me to this area where they were finding goats that were missing from a rancher. So they found them in this eucalyptus island area, and he went to go show me this area. So we went out there. It was just me and him, and he was showing me around. And sure enough, there were structures out there. And as soon as I got off the van, I had a feeling that I needed to go to the opposite side of the island. Something was telling me I need to go to the opposite side of the island. So I told my friend, I'm getting a push. Like I'm feeling like something's telling me to head over to the other side. He goes, okay, well, let's go. So we go to the other side of the island, and then across the street. This is all along the street, a busy street. Okay, so on the opposite side of the island is citrus orchards again, citrus orchards, and a reservoir. The reservoir was dry, so I was getting pulled. I don't know, something was just telling me to go over there. I wanted to see if there was footprints in the reservoir since it was kind of dry and a little muddy, and if there's anything, it would leave prints. So I wanted to go see if there was some prints. So sure enough, I crossed the road, and he does too, and we're looking towards the citrus orchard, and I'm looking for prints, and I don't see anything. And then all of a sudden, I look up, and along the edge of the citrus orchard, I see a canine type creature on all fours, and it was really thin. And I'm looking at it, it had an orange reddish color hair, and I'm looking at it. It has a big head. I noticed it had a big head for its the size of its body. I go, maybe it's a coyote. I thought it was a coyote at first. Okay, it's a coyote. So I tell my friend, you see that? I told him, are you seeing that? And he was a ways down from me. He goes, no, I can't see it. I go, well, come over here. And I'm looking at it, and it does this with its head. It lifts its head up and down like 3 times, and it's staring at us. Well, at me, and I'm looking at it, and it's like, what the hell? It's not a coyote. That's not a coyote. It had long legs. It was really thin, and the head was big. It had a canine. It looked to me like a canine. So then when I looked at, after it did that, I looked at my friend. I go, do you see what it's doing? I looked at my friend, and by the time I looked back, this thing had turned around, and it had no tail, but it walked away all funky, like it had multi joints, and it went into the orchard. And I'm telling my friend, dude, are you seeing this? Are you seeing it? I go, it's not a coyote. He goes, no, I didn't see it. I couldn't see it. Oh man. So and then we're starting to hear movement in the citrus, like it's coming closer to us. And then all of a sudden, my stomach starts to hurt, and then I'm starting to taste metal in my mouth, and I'm not feeling well. I'm starting to get a headache. And I'm telling my friend, dude, I'm tasting metal in my mouth and my stomach's hurting. He goes, yeah, me too. I'm getting dizzy. Now, did this creature did he do something? Did he shoot something towards us? Like an infrasound, something like that? When that happened, I started praying. In my head, I said a prayer for protection, and me and my friend, and the pain went away. Okay, it went away for a bit. So when we started walking down the road along the citrus orchard, you can still hear like movement, but I couldn't see anything. You can still hear movement in the citrus, and it's getting closer to us. And then I felt it again. I felt that metal in my mouth again. I felt it hit, like my stomach hurt again. I have a headache. And my friend said, dude, I'm not feeling well. I go, well, me neither. So I started praying again, and then it relieved. It went away. And then this thing got really close. We can feel that it was really close. We just couldn't see it. Whatever this thing was, I don't know what it was. We just got the heck out of there. And this was during the day, like at noon. And it's a busy road, cars passing by left and right. It's like, dude, I've never experienced that in my life. But I feel like that thing was attacking us somehow. And I was just saying to pray for protection that would go away. The pain would go away. So something was attacking us. I don't know how, but spiritually, maybe, I guess. But I can see it. It was there. I saw it was in a ghost. It was right there, and it walked kind of funky. Like it was just weird. I don't know if it was another type of dog, man. I have no idea.
Wow. Well, Javier from Cryptid 559 here on Spaced Out Radio. Pterodactyls dog men, chasing them on down. My friend, aren't you afraid of this stuff? Aren't you afraid that all of a sudden, if you get face to face with one of these dog men, that they're going to use you for more than just a chewing bone?
That's. I know I get asked that a lot. He goes, "Aren't you guys scared when you go out there?" You know what? I'm not thinking about that when I'm out there. I'm thinking about I want to capture evidence. I want the world to know that these creatures do exist. I want people to know that they exist. I'm not going after, I'm not chasing after them. I'm just going and sitting there, and these things come to us. Now, I'm not good. I'm not there to hurt them. Okay, I'm not there to hurt them. I say a protection of prayer when we go out there. I'm not there to hurt, and I don't feel. I feel like if I'm not there to hurt them, they're not gonna hurt me. That's the sense I get. Unless we got that, like that one time, me and my cousin got that bad, bad, bad feeling from the first time we were up there. Got that bad, bad feeling. Okay, I'm not gonna stick around. That's not good. So we're.
No, I stick around at that point, dude. Why stick at that point? Do you believe that there is any correlation between what we know as dogman and what we know as werewolves?
Yeah, I think so. These stories came from somewhere. After seeing that, what I saw, I believe vampires exist. I do. I feel like everything exists now. Everything's, these stories come from somewhere. They have to, and I heard a lot of stuff from, Hollywood gets their stories. I mean, a lot of the stories are real. I mean, I hear a lot of stuff. People tell me that a lot of Hollywood gets their stuff and it's real. The stuff is real.
It's very interesting. It's very interesting because I don't know why I've just been delving on that lately about whether or not there is some sort of combination or correlation between dogman and the what we would know as a werewolf. But on the flip side, I don't know enough people that are running out of their house screaming at midnight on a full moon night, waiting to change shape, except maybe Celiurna from Godsmack. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, either that or they cover it up. They cover it up.
What do you mean by cover it up?
I know in our area, when there's something being called in that's either a Sasquatch sighting or a dogman sighting, they have code words for it. We know about that here in our area, so they cover it up. So you're not gonna know if you're listening on a scanner. They have these code names for them.
Susie B wants to know: do you ever take anyone out in the field? I think she wants to go with you.
Oh yeah, I'll take you. I'll take you in the area. I never go alone. None of us go alone. We never go alone to these areas, especially at night. No way. But if it's a group of us, yeah, we'll go.
Make sure she wears her spaced out radio jacket.
Yeah, the bedazzled one.
That was awesome.
That was nice. Yeah,
that was awesome. Javier, what's your best account or story that you've heard this year so far?
the Las Vegas one. I believe that's true. That's awesome. I mean, that game cam footage. I believe that creature, the way it moves, and especially when it got startled, the way it moved, looking back, that right there gave me the chills. And when I was looking at that footage, it was hunched over, and people don't know, the fence of the properties are usually about 6 feet high. This thing was hunched over, kneeling down, and it was already almost the size of the fence. And it wasn't even standing upright. So this thing had to be tall. It had to be at least what he was saying. It was 10 to 8 feet tall. These creatures, yeah, I believe it. And it looked like an insectoid or mantis to me, mantoid. I mean, I believe that was true.
We got 2 minutes left. I don't know if I buy that story yet.
You don't, huh?
I'm still having a hard time.
That's fine. That's fine. And the game cam footage, you can see the bone structure, which is weird. You can. It's almost like an X-ray. You can see it, the bone structure.
Well, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying, in my opinion, I think these were fame seekers.
You think so?
I want them to be real.
Well, why did they go and hush them up? It's a modern Roswell to me. Why did they go and hush them up? Why did they disappear for a while? Yeah, they could have done that, but nah, I don't know. I think somebody came and talked to them and told them, hey, you need to back off a little bit.
Well, I don't know. I don't know, because the police went silent on that one as well.
Well, there you go. That's a question. That's a red mark for me. That's a red flag. What's up? That's a big red flag for me.
Yeah, well, coming on this show is a red flag for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love you, man. I love you, man. I appreciate you.
Well, thanks for having us.
No problem. Do me a favor.
Yes, sir.
We got about 45 seconds to go here. Take your time. Tell everybody where they can get a hold of you, find you, your information, and everything.
We're on YouTube. YouTube channel is Cryptid559. We're also on Facebook. Just send me a request, a friend request, and then I'll let you in. But it's Cryptid, Roman numerals 559. So just look for our logo. That's the easiest on Facebook. Look for our logo, Cryptid, and then look for the logo. And then send me a friend request, and I'll let you guys in.
Well, that's nice. That's nice, Javier. Thank you for filling in for Super Duke on World Bigfoot Radio's Cryptid Report. We very much appreciate it, my man.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And of course, a big thank you to not only Javier, but our guest tonight, Mick West, coming on in, fielding some pretty tough questions regarding all skepticism of UFOs. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LDAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night. Well, that was fun.
Yes, sir.
Turn that up. You have fun there, Javi?
Yes, sir. All the time, man. Thank you. Thanks again for inviting us.
Oh, no worries. We kind of like you around here. You know, scale of 1 to 10, you're a solid 3.5.
Oh, wow. Thanks, buddy.
Hey, all about love, my friend. All about love.
Thanks.
I do wish, though, that we had more time with you in Vegas.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I like to hear all the speakers out. That was a good day that Saturday. You know, like I was telling someone, the format that way, where you can sit there and listen to all the speakers, that was awesome. And you're in that same room, you're able to hear the speakers and what they're talking about. Because sometimes when you do these conferences, you're in a separate room and you miss out. I like to hear the speakers.
I think next year we're gonna do it just a tad different. We're going to have breaks in between every show.
Oh, okay.
So, for instance, let's say if we did the format that we did this year, Jessica will go on early. Say she'll do an hour and a half show or 2 hour show. Then we'll have a break for a couple of hours, and then we'll go back, do another 2 hour show, then a break, and then do the next show. We're just trying to figure that part out right now, and what's going to work for everybody.
Okay.
Or cut the shows down to 1 hour each, or whatever, right?
Hmm.
So that's something that we're going to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. Had a blast.
Well, you definitely have to come back next year too, brother.
Yeah. It's
You
just
know.
that it was, yeah. Is it going to be the same time, the same month, or
We're
you
planning
guys
on
are?
Reno next year.
Oh, Reno. Okay.
Yeah, just to um, try something different.
Hmm.
You know, basically, Kira kicked my ass and said we're not going to Vegas next year. That's pretty much exactly what happened.
Oh,
And I
okay.
just because I'm loyal to my business manager. I was like, okay, I'll do that. Yeah, party girl Jenny girl is going to come back. She told me. She told me.
Nice.
Yeah.
You got any
You
more
gotta
conferences?
not this year.
Okay. I got
Not
one
this.
coming up in October.
Oh, where are you going?
Back to Newark, California, near San Francisco.
Oh, nice.
It's the
Cryptid one?
It's a mystical minds conference. It's a mix, paranormal, cryptid, and metaphysical.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
That sounds like fun.
and that's where we started with her. They invited us. That was our first conference. They invited us, and that's where I met Lorraine Fenton.
Well, Lorian, yeah.
Lorraine Fenton. Uh-huh.
Lorian's great.
Hmm.
I love Lorian.
Yeah,
I don't know if she's going to do her conference next year, but if she does, I'll be there anyways. Because I would do anything to support her.
nice. Yeah, she's nice. Very nice lady.
She's very nice. You
Hmm.
know. Then you guys got to come back too.
Well, if we get the invitation, yeah, of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So have you been out to your hotspot area?
I haven't in a couple weeks.
Okay.
I did in between. That's actually a good question. I did in between my mom's passing and her funeral when I had to come back home for a few days and work.
Yeah, my condolences again, Dave.
Yeah, thank you. But I did um get out there that night, and I just kind of let it out to the universe. Said, hey, we're in a real sullen mood right now. Mom has passed, and um that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Dead fish, don't worry, we're gonna find good deals, and if it is more expensive than Vegas, we'll figure something else out. Uh-huh.
So
Lots of
how?
time.
Yeah, I didn't get to go out to Area 51, but how was that?
That was fun, dude. I'm
It
I'm
just
so glad I got to do it with the people we did because it was Eric Markham, myself, Tim Senor, Kira, and Random Guy all shoved into this Lexus version of a Toyota 4Runner. I literally rode in the back the entire way and there the entire way in the back, which was good because I could sleep. But I got my body cramped up on me. So
oh
so Eric quit driving because his eyes were bothering him. So he quit driving. Random Guy drove, and I fell asleep in the passenger seat. Oh, and Brad Bunt came, so there were 6 of us. There were 6 there.
You guys went out in the day. Did you stay at night, or how
No,
was that?
we got on the road at like 2:00.
Oh,
So we
okay.
didn't get out there until almost 6.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah, I would totally do it again. I would like to do it earlier, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it's always out there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you gotta be prepared. It is a drive. You know,
Mhm.
there's no taco stands in between. It's really I mean, I'm used to the I-5, man, where
Right.
there's a Taco Bell in every overpass.
Uh-huh.
No,
Yep.
not in the middle of Nevada. No, there.
It's all desert.
Hold on. I'm trying to figure out what were people missing here? Oh, contact, yeah. I'll go to contact when they invite me.
Oh, yeah, that's one I want to go to. That's in Arizona, correct?
We do. You got to show me as a Canadian how I can take advantage of that. I don't know what AARP is.
Is that insurance?
I don't know. It's some American thing. Don't make me look it up, people. I-5 guys smells of poo every mile. Oh, you're horrible. Oh, DOD, you're funny. No, there were no fist fights at the SOR gathering. Why would there be? What's AARP? I know there's going to be American in there. So, what is AARP? What does it stand for? What is it? Okay, fights for age 50 and over individuals and their families at local, state, and national levels. Okay. I still don't know what it is. There is no AARP. Oh, there is AARP in Canada. I had no idea. Look at that. You learn something new every day. Still don't know what it stands for.
There's no logo?
Oh, hold on. American Association of Retired Persons. In other words, the Get Off My Lawn Club. My goodness. Get Off My Lawn Club. I like that name better. Hey, Asimov, how you doing, buddy? Yeah. Javier's got a few years before he's in the Get Off My Lawn Club.
Yeah. It's creeping up fast.
Thank you, Michael Morris, our attorney at large. I had no idea what it meant. That's hilarious. That is just hilarious. Ugh. You know,
You ever been to Roswell?
No, I want to.
Yeah,
Never
I've
been.
Never been there either. Want to go?
I'd like to go there.
Yeah. Check that out.
Might be. I'm thinking about taking my boy down to Disneyland summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, he just got straight A's on his report card, so
There you go.
got to reward him somehow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's
How about a combo deal? Universal's and Disneyland.
don't know. Depends how much time I can get off.
Oh, okay.
I do know that my cousin in Vegas wants us to go over there for a few days as well. I love Disneyland. I want to go on every time I go there. There's new rides. I love it. I want to go on the Cars ride. That's what I want to do. Take him on the roller coaster. Yeah, I think we'll spend like 4 days at Disneyland, maybe a day or two at Universal, and then go over to Vegas for a
Yeah.
few days and stay at my cousin's house.
Yeah, Universals you can probably do in 1 or 2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Except when it gets to that tour, you take the tour bus, it takes you down to the Jaws pond.
Oh,
I
yeah.
I scream like a freaking
Yeah.
and for some reason, I always get the side where the shark comes up. Yeah. Bastards.
Have you? They do a horror fest. That's pretty awesome. In October,
Cool.
we've been to 2 of them, and those are awesome. Man, those are. I mean, the houses they're like the sets of a movie, man. It's awesome.
I know. I like it there. I
Mhm.
don't know. That'll be our trip. It's just going there and then I don't know. Maybe next year try something different.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes, sir.
Anyways, I'm gonna be right back. If you want to hang out, you're more than welcome to. You can hang out with the audience or you can
I can't even see the chat.
hold on. If you go up into the right hand corner
Okay.
where it says private chat,
Private chat. Right hand corner. It just says chat.
yeah,
Is
go to
that
chat.
chat? But then it brings
Are
it
you
wants
on your
me.
phone?
Yeah, I'm on my phone.
Oh, that's why.
Oh, okay.
Boo.
Yeah, my computer is a dinosaur. Takes forever to boot up.
Boo. Boo.
Well, I better go anyways. I got to get up early for work.
Buddy. I
Thanks for
appreciate you.
having us. Thanks for having us.
We'll talk soon, okay?
Yes, sir. Bye,
All right,
everybody
brother.
in chat. Bye.
I'll be right back too because I have to hit the bathroom. Be right back. Having a good night? Excuse me. Oh. Right. Who's on tomorrow night? Tomorrow night. Wayne Salman is here tomorrow night. A magical mystery ride through the prism of history. Journey across forever. Talk about different shows. Hey, Justin Hemmingson, how are you? I hope your personal issues are getting better. Oh, Christine, I hope it gets sorted out here soon. My neck is so sore. Doug Shelby, why were you late? Hi, Mystics Walk. Good morning. right. On that note, we're going to say goodnight to all of you. Thank you to Kira ×2, Michael, LMDA, Aaron, Deb, and Louie for the amazing super chats tonight. Thank you tomorrow, Wayne Solomon, The Journey into Forever. It's going to be cool. Going to be cool. Different topic. I don't know where it's going to go, but hey, that's what we do here on the show. Enjoy all your nights. Don't forget, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, thumbs down, leave a comment after the show. Helps with the algorithms. And do some shopping at spacedoutradio.com if you don't mind. Hit subscribe as well. Take care, everybody. You have a wonderful night.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.